What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Apex the Podcast. We are here, ready to go, and let's check in with the boys. We got some time before our next ALGS action, so we have a few different topics we're going to talk about here today. Boys, how are we feeling? Finn?
Dude, July that's like literally a land is in 2 months from this exact moment. So we've got some time for sure. My week has been good. It has been raining quite a bit here. I feel like I talk about weather every single time we do my weekend review, but it's been good. Good at work. And I'll get into it with my heart to heart, but I think I want to go for Pred. I think I just want to get the screenshot that I have at one point was Pred in the season, because I think that it's a lot of time and a lot of effort, but while also working a full-time job. So, but that is my week. My week has pretty much consistently consisted of me grinding ranked and playing as much as I possibly can outside of work, which has been tiring, but worth. When I get that screenshot, it will be worth.
How close are you?
You solo queuing the whole thing?
No, I mean, if I can find people, I play with them, but it's kind of, whenever I can find them. But I am 8K down, and I know that sounds crazy, but I have Thursday, Friday off, and Saturday and Sunday I will be that's 4 days where I don't have to worry about work.
You have Thursday and Friday off?
Yeah, and Saturday, obviously, and Sunday.
I'll put you in the bag.
Okay, all right.
I'll take a break from my solo to Masters to put
him in the bag.
Young Fenici in the bag.
I'm just saying, I'm down.
We'll get you Pred.
Okay, I'm currently 1,489 in the world right now, and that's
higher than me.
Well, I wouldn't say higher than you. Well, you've been doing all kinds of different stuff, but I'm just saying, I will by the next time we record, I will have hit Pred.
You'll have a screenshot.
Point. Yeah, and I will have a screenshot.
Let's get that screenshot. Let's go.
Enoch.
Yeah,
that was my week. No, I was gonna transition, but you did it anyway. Go.
Yeah, I'm doing well. Nothing to complain about. Just another week to just attack the grind and really just try to show up and do my best. I've been really focusing on like the now a lot more and just like being present and just giving that my full attention. And so that way I can do my best in that moment by being as like aware as I can be and just giving it what I have for the sake of doing it, not really focusing on what the result of it will be. And I've been very like mindful of the way that I'm allowing myself to like think and feel, and regardless of like the things that are tempting me to want to like go off into like the negative emotional places, like I'm getting better and better at like not doing that. And it's like it's yielding a lot of better positive external circumstances. And so I'm very, very big on that. The more you can work and control towards having a like positive emotional state, regardless of what's going on, that not only is your life going to like be better, because like if you're like constantly choosing to be joyful over not, it's going to be like a better time. But then like your like outside surroundings will change over time into better experiences. And I'm doing some testing on my own, and I will report back later when I have more data, some more fruit to observe.
There we go. Perfect.
Yeah, so that's my week.
Good. My week, nothing. Just nothing. Nothing to talk about. Nothing super crazy. Just watching playoff hockey, watching some playoff basketball too. But my teams aren't in it, so kind of just watching for no reason. Been playing a shitload of Rocket League. I got one of my good friends to start playing it, and I've been trying to carry him as much as I can. And so that's fun. Other than that, nothing really to report. Nothing crazy to talk about right now. So I think without further ado, we might as well just get straight into the questions. We're going to go through some questions this week. Actually, no, let's talk season 17, because last week we said we were going to talk season 17 and our thoughts after we had it nailed down another week under our belt. So season 17 obviously drops. And we have a lot of new changes here. We got a brand new legend in Ballistic. Lots to come with that. We also have changes to World's Edge. World's Edge gets another facelift. Lots of different changes in Capital City. And then also Lava City got an upgrade as well, it looks like. And then a lot of the areas around the map, like the crevice has gotten a lot higher up, so it's not as much of a liability to try to rotate through anymore. And then other things throughout the patch notes, mostly just slight weapon changes. Triple take seems to be back. We have some different weapons in the crafter, all that good stuff. L-Star is back in the crate, and a lot of people are saying it is one of the better crate weapons. I'm not sure if I'm willing to budge on my RE45 as the greatest of all time take quite yet. But boys, season 17. And then obviously the biggest one, the ranked changes. The rank changes have been a hot topic throughout most of the first opening days of the season. Finn, let's get your initial thoughts on season 17 and how you feel about all that new stuff.
Yeah. Nice to be able to talk about everything. I was the most excited about Ballistic. I think that in the rank changes in the firing range. Oh, that was another thing. The firing range was just so good. I think it was really great. I mean, I really do. I think I was so excited to play Ballistic on live. Like I think the Legend's so fun. I think having a sling weapon provides versatility, but I think it's a lot of like push heavy aggression, and I think that part is what gets me fired up. I know it's been out by a good week at this point, so I've gotten my hands on it, and I think World's Edge changes are really sick. I guess my biggest thing, Wyatt, I guess, would be the firing range, because I think truly you can learn so much about the game of Apex and not ever have to step foot in a pubs match or a ranked match or anything like that. You can actually legit just practice and hone in on your skills and do your own type of, training regimen. I mean, Verhulst is going to be in the firing range for 8 hours now. Like if he thought
it's going to be a full-time job for him.
If he thought he was playing for 4 hours in the regular firing range, now he's going to be in the new range for like multiple days on end. This guy is going to be living and breathing in the firing range.
Yeah, I mean, if he was able to work in 4 hours in that basic firing range, this one he's gonna. I imagine that was the first thing he did. Like he was just like, I got to check out my new home. That was like his spot is the firing range. So yeah, 100%. Enoch, your thoughts on season 17 so far?
It is interesting. The matchmaking for ranked is just, I don't even know what they have going on, because I will be diamond and I'll be getting like silver and gold teammates, and then I will be in gold 1 and I will fight design and fun FPS. Like, what am I playing? Is some of the things that come to mind when I do play. I did win that fight, just so people know. Smoked and rolled, and well, rolled and smoked would be the proper order. That's something I'm just gonna commit to it. Is just say smoked and rolled every time, because like I just say that naturally and I say it in the wrong order, and so I'm just gonna rock.
You're committing to going backwards.
Yeah, I might just commit to it, because like think about how, like, if there's ever a clip of me talking about it, farming everybody in the comments saying, "Oh, he's not even saying it right. Like he said it the right." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's just like eventually one day
you win.
That's gonna, yeah. Eventually one day it's gonna pay off. But yeah, it's a little wacky. It's very, 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 very placement heavy, as we did see. If anybody out here doesn't know, Sweet soloed to Pred. I think he placed 152 in 50 games with 0 damage. And he did that because basically he farmed top placements consistently every game by just basically ratting until late game and like micromanaging his 2 randoms that he had to play with who were doing damage. And so it definitely shows how placement oriented the system is now. And that combined with the low amount that you lose creates like worse quality of lobbies, in my opinion. And I feel like it's only going to get worse as there's like players who are going to, like, I actually had a really good conversation with a guy who I randomly paired up with. And he was somebody who said his highest he's ever hit was Diamond 4. And that in the season 13 split 1, he was plat. And then because of the way that the RP, or because of the rank system this season, he was confident that he was going to hit Masters. He was confident that he was going to hit Masters. A peak D4 player with the utmost confidence that he was going to hit Masters. And I'm confident for him. I think he is too. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be out here getting Masters. But those people are not just like, they're simply just not going to be better players at the game. Because with what this rank system has done is it's created a legitimate strategy of I'm going to drop in, I'm going to rat, I'm going to go from tree to tree. I had a teammate, no comm, nothing, land by himself, literally playing Valkyrie, going from tree to tree. And he gained RP. I'm LP. And he gained. And so it's like, and you can't even be mad at those people because like they don't care about the game. They don't. They're not here to play Apex Legends. They're here to get their Masters badge. And so like those players, it's never been a better time to be one of those guys. And so for all of you people, if you're out there, do not miss your opportunity that you have at hand here. You got to capitalize. And so, but like, I think it's bad that that's a possibility in a play style that the game inherently is promoting at this point. And I think that should be tweaked and adjusted. I would say and then like at high level lobbies, you're just basically like running through rank lobbies. If you're 3-man stacking, like it's kind of absurd. Like you get like 3 high level preds, they're just rolling everybody. And so, and in terms of like the grinding, it definitely makes it easier on the top grinders because like they're running through lobbies, and if they get minus RP, they're ripping minus 35. That boy Zainu is probably at this point over 120k RP or LP. He's definitely over 100, and he puts hold on. He gets minus 35s. Like he's putting up like 15. He'll play for like a 20-hour session, and he'll put up like 15,000 LP because like all he's doing is taking banger games, and if he has a bad one, it's minus 35. And so I think in that terms, it like low key makes it so that I wish I had done like the ranked grind, because like obviously like I take my day off, but other than that, I could have really just gone after it and been in that top 5. But I'm having fun doing what I'm doing, and like the solo queue experience I would say is way better for the most part.
Right.
Because it's not nearly as punishing, and you have players who like also for the most part want to like do well and get placement. And I've had people tell me that they've been ratting to Masters, but that they'd play it out because it was me. He was like, sorry, I'm ratting. I was like, hey, you plan on ratting this whole game, or like what you been on lately? He's like, I'm not gonna lie, I have been doing that, but I'll play it out because it's you. And I was like, all right, bet, let's go. And it's just that's my thoughts on season 17. Dude, Ballistic is super fun. Like,
so fun.
I will say, not nearly as OP as I was expecting him to be, but the Mozam in the sling is so good. It's like nuts. I think that's my favorite sling gun, and then probably my second favorite would be the 9. I like the 99, and that's just because the 9 is by far my best gun. And I feel like if I'm running around with quick reload and a little bit of movement speed on me and a gold mag 9 that I'm like quick reloading, like I shouldn't lose. And so,
I do think he
dude,
is
the
stronger than what
Rampage and the
people
Havoc
think
are
right now.
also really,
Oh.
really good. What
Yeah,
did you just say?
No. Hold on. You continue on with that. I did not know that the Rampage comes fully torqued whenever
it comes
it's in
fully
your
torqued.
sling.
Fully torqued in the sling. The Sentinel's fully torqued in the sling, but I mean, like, who's going to use the Sentinel? I mean, like, it could be. I could see a loadout being that you cranked a Sentinel and double 9s, and then you just got a couple shots off with the Senny, and then just jump on in there.
I will say this. I know you said he wasn't nearly as OP as you thought he would be. I do think he is as OP.
You think people are just sleeping?
Oh, I think people are sleeping so hard on this legend. I don't think people have even gotten close to what I think Ballistic is going
Can do.
Oh, dude. The argument has been made that they don't think that this legend is very comp viable, and I just like am trying to think late game, if you have a Ballistic, your whole team, like, or it doesn't even matter. Like, you could take it. I think this will be a definitely more team fighting based legend. I really think I think E8 is going to run it. Maybe not, but I think E8 is the type of team that would run it. I was thinking LG maybe run it. I think that he's just being majorly slept on right now, but I don't think every single team is going to run him due to he is a bit challenging to run in zone, and I agree with that. But I think for teams that are playing that hybrid, more aggressive style, I think Ballistic will be strong in that regard because of sear ulti down, right? Like you sear ult down, you Ballistic ult, and then you 3-man swing something, right? Like with a sear attack. I just think in a coordinated attack, Ballistic is very, very good and is very oppressive. But that is my thoughts. Why? What do you think? Hold on. What do you think about Ballistic?
Yeah, I agree with what Enoch said. He was really fun. I am not the type of guy to play a new legend. That is not something I've done. I've always kind of stuck with like the same handful of legends since the beginning, and it's very rare for me to pick one up, like especially a new one, and be like, "Oh, this is fun." I'm not like I just don't do that. I don't really play the new legends. Always more in tune with like the new maps and the new guns and stuff like that. But this one, I had so much fun playing Ballistic. I do suck with him because I always forget about my sling weapon until I ult. But I love playing him. Like he's so fun, and I like putting the RE45 in the sling because I just like that gun. I don't know why. I just like having the RE45 with me at all times. But yeah, I really do like him. I think he's super fun. And it was funny because I played him so much and then I don't know if I accidentally switched like out of habit or if somebody took him from me, but I was playing Lifeline. That means I must have accidentally switched and just clicked her without thinking. I was playing her and then I went to go pick up my sling weapon and I was like, why am I not picking this fucking gun up? I was getting so mad and I was like, oh, I'm not him. Like he's one of those legends where it's like when you get used to him, you want to keep playing him over and over and over again. And I don't even think it really matters right now if he's at like I do think he's very good. But even if he wasn't, like say for instance he wasn't, his kit is fun enough to where you would play him even if he wasn't like extremely OP, because having that third weapon gives you like a really good option, and that ultimate being what it is will always have him being played, I think, in Apex in the casual levels at least. Like I can always say for sure he will be played in that way. I've always talked about like on the other show and this one the have fun legends, and Mirage is one of those because people can have fun with him. I think Rampart for a long time has been a have fun legend. I think Ballistic will fit in there, but Ballistic has the best ability out of all of the have fun legends to be disgusting. And I think he's very good right now, and I really do enjoy playing him.
When you get hit by that tactical, bro, like
yeah, like
you just
you don't
like
know
can't
what
play
to
the
do.
game. You literally just can't play the game. So you're just like, hey guys, I got hit by tac. Oh, by the way, they're full sending with like 3 R9s, and I can't shoot my gun.
It locks on so fast. Like it locks on so fast. So
it's
yeah, I think they might mess around with that in the future, but Yeah, I think I want to see him get played in ALGS. I want to see what it looks like. I want to see like because same thing happened with like Seer, right? Where it was nothing really changed with Seer, but people just didn't play him, and then it took Watson to say, "Hey, let me try this out." I think somebody's gonna come along and be like, "Dude, this
Yeah.
works. Like this
I'm
works
the
really
biggest
well."
I am the why I think you are 100% correct, because I think even right now people can't tell, though it might be due to the rank system, but I think, or the how the rank system works. I would say I'm very interested to see. Do you know if they're going to be playing LAN on the newest patch? Like
I
that's
was gonna
another
ask
thing
you
that I was
guys
going to.
that.
I don't know what they did the last time, because I think they had a whole, like, there was
I
not
think
even
they'll
a
play
patch
on
that
new.
was.
I think they will play on new.
Yeah, it would make sense if they played on new patch, but man, can you imagine? Like, what if there's like a brand new meta that comes to, like,
I don't.
dude?
Yeah, I don't know if I like that because you play the entire season on one thing, and then you go into land, the biggest part of it, and everything's changed. I don't know if I necessarily like that. I think it's cool that they can have that ability, but I wish it would have been like during some of the match days, not necessarily land. You know?
They can play on certain. I think they've done that before. They've done it before on LAN, I believe, where they'll play on the patch like previous. So I don't know if they'll end up doing that. I would be surprised if they did that, considering Ballistic's a new legend. They're going to want to showcase that if Ballistic does get played, which, once again, biggest advocate for Ballistic. But once again, we'll wait till scrims and like third party tournaments to happen before I guess we make any conclusions. If anything, I think it'll be a niche pick for those super hyper aggressive teams. But yeah, that's just my thoughts. Okay, firing range. Do you guys like that?
Yeah, I love the firing
I
range.
think it's a really great change overall. I'm excited. I'll probably end up doing a 1v1. I haven't done 1v1 days in at like forever.
Long time.
And so I probably should like crank the 1v1 day. And I was busy this Sunday. This Sunday I got coming up. I can schedule it in, make the time for it. And so I think I'll probably have to crank a 1v1 day in celebration of the new firing range.
Last thing that I thought of that's like, oh, it's like a massive change is that support characters, if they're on your, if you have one on your team, they can, now everybody can craft.
No, that
Huge,
is actually so
huge.
big. It's so huge. You just
Like-
need one guy to make it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Man,
So-
I pulled up on a Watson crafting banners. And I was like, is this dude cheating? Because I forgot in my head. I was literally on. I was like, is this guy cheating?
Like,
How did
is he
Watson craft
crafting
banners?
that?
was like,
when did
what?
Watson get that?
You already know I
New
snagged
passive?
both those. I snagged both those banners before I killed him too. I snagged those tags.
Wait, can you take somebody's
you can grab
banner?
other people. Yeah, if somebody puts banners on the crafter, like they craft them, and you pull up, you can snag them and take them. So
That
way
is
they
so
can-
my
funny.
Gosh,
You guys
yo,
didn't know
that's,
that?
No,
That's
I didn't.
so
That's
funny.
sick.
You snatch that. You just snatch it. You just snatch it off the crafter, and then you have them both, and then they can't get them.
Bro, that
So
is
they'd
so
have to craft them
funny.
again.
That's comedy.
Yeah, you just grab their teammates' things and you put it in your pocket.
Yeah, it doesn't give you anything. You just steal their
no,
banners.
you just grab it. You just steal it. You just take it so
Yes.
that they can't get it.
I want somebody to make an account called the Banner Snatcher, and all he doesn't kill
Is
anybody,
he
doesn't
just
do anything.
lurk
He
in
just snatches
corners and-
banners every game, and the clips would go dumb on every social media site. Just the Banner Snatcher. I want that so bad. My ranked thoughts, real quick. I agree with almost everything Enoch said, but I will say this as a casual. The only thing we have for like to look forward to as casuals, we're never going to be good enough to get like that Masters badge. Maybe if we make a giant push, we could get there, right? We're never going to be Pred. None of that. The funnest thing, though, is watching the ALGS and being able to play in games that emulate the end games that we see in the ALGS. All of the end games I have played have been like that, and it gets my juices flowing, makes me feel like I'm actually like competing for something like it used to back in the day, like early days of ranked. And I love that so much. Now, there needs to be some adjustments to the points you lose and stuff like that, so it hurts a little bit more. But so many good late games that I've had, and it's really fun. I like that. That's enjoyable for me because I don't think I'm ever going to experience that, obviously, unless somebody just like dies on the main stage and they're like, hey, no, they wouldn't even pick me because there's gonna be a million other people better than me. So this is the closest I can get to like playing legit ALGS style late games, and I love it so much. So I love the system for that reason. There definitely needs to be some changes to the rest of it, but love the placement based style. So I'm a really big fan of that. Boys,
In solo,
sorry, go.
sorry. Before we transition, I was gonna say the solo queue experience I think has got to be a lot better for most people too, because I mean you could ask. I guess I gotta ask E because he's been doing that, but I think for the most part it's less punishing for the people that have no teammates, and then they have a bad game, and then it doesn't hurt nearly as bad, right? Like I
it's
feel
less
like
punishing for everybody.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So the solo queuer is going to be a little bit more happy about that, right? Because you can get rolled by a 3 stack of like full pros, and then not take a -68 to the face, and then be like, oh, okay, that's fine, right? I'm just saying I think that's a benefit as well. But yeah, that's my week review so far of the season. It is very grindy if you want to get to Pred. Oh my gosh.
I love it. Love it. Okay, boys, what do you say we get into some questions from the community? Because Finn tweeted out something on the Apex the Pod. If you're not following us at the Apex the Pod on Twitter, he said we want to hear your questions for the upcoming podcast. Leave a reply on what you would love for us to answer, and we've got plenty of submissions here. Let's kick it off with our guy, Jayhawk. This one is really interesting. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Might hurt my feelings a little bit, but let's see. If you three were teamed up and thrown into ALGS, but no one knows it's you three, they assume it's another run-of-the-mill pro team, how many points do you think you boys can pick up? Also, who does what roles? Who plays what character? ETC. How do you think we do, boys?
We're in Pro League?
We're in Pro League.
But they think that we're just like
They think
this isn't the same question as that
because
question, right?
They're gonna tell Wyatt. They're gonna smell him from a mile away.
Yeah, but there's YouTube.
It will be on site that they will know who we are.
But we have YouTube.
No,
though.
I think there's a different mentality.
I do think we can
hold
be
on,
a strong
listen.
zone team.
Nothing can really
and we
measure
put you
my
on the
heart.
Caustic. We put you on the Caustic, or we put you on the Rampart. We'd have to put you in Rampart school to really just make sure you got your walls down.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we could. I think we could put Finn on the Ash, me on the Loba, and then you on the Rampart, or me on Rampart, you on Loba, and we'd just play zone, and then we'd Ash, or we'd have to put you on. We'll have Ash on the team, but you can't play her.
That,
We gotta have Finn on that.
I don't
Biggest
even think we
tease.
need Ash. I don't think we'd play Ash. No.
What you mean, bro?
No,
I'm just
dude,
saying
we're playing Valk. Like we're getting to zone as quickly as possible. I don't. You can get away with running Ash if like everybody is on the same page. I'm not sure if we can. I think I would have.
Okay,
Wyatt.
you want Valk? You don't want like that. Okay,
I'm just saying we need to get to zone quick if we got Wyatt on the squad. We need to set up ASAP.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think me and E would tag team IGL, and then Wyatt would follow us and be a great supporting character if need be. But where would we land?
We'd flex.
We'd
probably
okay.
rip a Dome or Geyser.
Yeah, we'd probably be. Yeah, we'd have to.
A Dome or Geyser, one of those ones.
Yeah,
I think we could get points. I will. Okay,
we would get
me.
points. Like if we fought teams, I think that we would be able, like,
Yeah.
even with you, like, not to talk shit.
Yeah.
But like
yeah,
we could smoke some pro teams in some fights.
in some favorable positions.
Yeah,
Let me say this.
if we had advantage on people, like, which can happen in
Charge
Apex,
rifle.
if we position ourselves and we're like in the right position, we could be causing trouble.
Well, I'll say this. Okay, a long time ago, after my first interview with Finn on Banner, I played with him, and the 2 games we played, we won both of them, and I had like 6 kills and like 9 assists. Okay, so I'm not
Are we
like
talking like
completely
pubs or what?
ass. It was pubs.
It was pubs.
Okay.
But still, like, okay, that just shows if I can play with some good players, I can perform. You know, I can
Are
swing.
you
elevate.
wait, what do you play on? You play on Xbox, right?
No, I play on PC.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Never mind.
I played
then.
on PC for years. I play controller,
Yeah,
but I play on
E.
PC.
Okay, of course.
And then also in a 1v1 with Finn, I went 15 and I won 2 rounds out of 15. So like I can win and that was
That's
just
like
a 1v1
Finn's first
situation.
time when he faced me in the ones.
Okay, he was on one whenever we
Dude,
played.
I was absolutely teed out of my mind. I was sweating my dick off. Like, I'm not even joking. Because I didn't know a soul. I did not know anybody. And I randomly got put with Finn. And I was like, all right, I need to make sure that he knows I'm a shooter. And I don't think I ever have teed up and sweat like I had
You
in
were
that
teed.
1v1.
I'm not even kidding. Yeah. That's what
I was going crazy.
Listen,
so
all I need is just shut my brain off and you guys tell me where to shoot. I think
That's what
I
I'm
could
saying.
actually do decent. I think I could.
I think your elevation, yeah, you would be elevated. Your game would be elevated for sure. So I'll give you that.
The highest I've ever gotten is diamond, but I never played with anybody else who was a diamond player. I was the only diamond on the team.
You're a diamond level player, White, this whole time?
Yeah, but that's not like that. That's like
I mean, bro, no, we're I think we could have a day where we place like top 15, might even be able to scratch out a top 10 if we really get gifted on zones. Like, I mean, because like if you're a diamond 4 level, like, yeah, we're chilling. We're chilling.
I think we could
we
get
can make it.
something.
It's all about rotates and zone pools
yeah.
and being in the right. You're running charge rifle, so
I would run charge rifle.
I mean,
Okay, all right.
we're getting kills from range.
I'm just trying to get
At
points.
least 2.
I'm just trying to get points.
We'll have at least 2 charge rifles shooting through those rampart shields. No doubt.
There we go. Awesome question from Jayhawk. Follow Jayhawk at AJhawk. Him and Finn, they've got like a series going. They're very interesting stuff there from Jayhawk. He's a legend, following us since the beginning. Okay, let me see another one here. Okay, let me see. All right, this one comes from at Purple and Orange. This one says, aside from burnout, why are so many pros and content creators dismayed with the game to the point that they're actively trying to sabotage it through their streams and videos? It's tough to watch. Won't name names, but there's a fair amount of disgruntledness going around. And I kind of want to start with this one. I think sabotaging the game is actively going out and finding ways to ruin it by like boosting, cheating, stuff like that. I don't think showing flaws in the rank system by not shooting and not doing anything, I don't think that's sabotaging the game. I think that's just showing that there is a problem with how the system is being like how they made the system. I don't think that's
highlighting a perceived issue.
Yeah, I think that's just showing something. You would do the same thing in anything, like any job or anything like that, if you had like a problem, or if like you were like when you go in for your like yearly review, they're like, these are the problems that we've had with you, but this is the stuff that you also do well. I think it gets shown that like I think much more of the negative gets shown in gaming because so many people like watching and playing and doing all that. But I don't think it's sabotaging by any means. I think that's just showing it. Sabotaging is like way more sinister, I think, than what Sweet did. I feel like they're talking about Sweet.
Well, yeah, they're probably talking about Sweet, but realistically, yes, people can probably emulate that, but they can't do that at the same
level
that Sweet. I mean, obviously, Sweet did it in 45 or 50? No, 50 plus games, not that much. Like 50 is not that much comparatively to like how many bonuses he would have got from kills and stuff. But basically, yes, I think he was trying to showcase a flaw in the system. But that being said, Sweet is also one of like a very, very high percentile of the population that can actually do something like that and do it in that amount of time, if at all. I mean, I think there are some people that obviously would not be able to do that, but I just I wouldn't necessarily call what Sweet did sabotage. I would say that what he did is impressive, I would say. I mean, from my perspective, I thought it was impressive.
I thought it was cool. I just thought it was a good way because so much we have just like people whining on Twitter about stuff. I thought that was a good way to showcase a problem. And I'm sure there's probably some whining involved with it, but I think that was a good way to showcase an issue and be like, hey, this is a problem. Just maybe you guys didn't see this. Maybe like throughout playtesting you didn't think this could happen, but this is a problem and maybe it should be adjusted. I don't think it was like sinister, you know. I think it was definitely interesting. Plus, you could go from the guise of he's just a streamer trying to do some sort of interesting challenge, you know. But yeah, no, I think that was just a very simple showcase of an issue. Um, let's move on into the next one here. This one comes from Cy Beasting at Cy Beasting. I would love to hear about everyone's opinion on ways ALGS and Respawn can add events in between the Pro League splits and season to keep engagement and hype around the competitive environment of Apex. What do you think, boys?
Yeah, I mean, pairing with third party, different place, like third party entities to create tournaments and stuff to support the ecosystem of Apex would be really good. I think as long as you're supporting your organizations, that you can kind of, as long as you're supporting the players, therefore you're supporting the organizations. Um, I don't know. I think that's probably the biggest thing is making sure that there's still um, some sort of audience or thing to look at or to watch, right? Something for people that love competitive to be interested in the downtime, in the in between. Obviously, we have our podcasts and other podcasts and other things, other content that people can get for sure. But having something that's actually in game, like tournaments, and I don't know, maybe even doing like a not maybe pairing with like a Twitch rivals and doing like a TDM, kind of like what Nick Merckx did, where they did like a TDM tournament, something like that. Anything to basically, you know, get the crave. I mean, I don't know. The crave is probably not the right word. You guys might need to help me on that. But what is like, you know, when people want content and then they finally get it? I don't know. They're just
An itch.
yeah, the itch of the content. I don't know. What do you guys have any other ideas on what you think could be content for people for the in between to keep people interested in ALGS that during the downtime?
I think one thing you have to start highlighting a little bit more is just the personalities and people surrounding the game. And you can do that in different ways while still utilizing the game. I think we have this mixtape playlist and we had a team deathmatch tournament. Just get some big names in there in between the, the actual LAN ALGS and just have people duke it out, make some content out of it. And I think the more that the Apex account embraces the pros, I think that's just does better for them. Listen, I know the pros say a lot of negative shit all the time, but I mean, if you can embrace it and kind of like bring it in and have more fun events like team deathmatch, control, maybe not control. I think gun run and team deathmatch would be really fun to watch. Watching the pros play it, I think that'd be cool. Have something like that where it's not as serious and you can still have some fun leading up to obviously one of the most serious events in the league. Just kind of sprinkle
Dude,
those in between.
I think the pros like showcased that to the highest. They had a pros only control match where there was it was 9v9 of just all pros and just 18 people just sweating it out on control. They didn't capture A point or C point. They were only fighting for B point. That was it. That's the only way they could get points. And so it was really, really interesting to see just so many people. I think that they did something like that. I think that would be awesome. But yeah, I guess that would be our answer to that question.
Okay. Okay. All right, so let's move into the next one here. This one comes from at Willie G Trumpet. He says, "What are some things it would take for Apex to reach the next level of esports notoriety, like League, CS:GO, etc.? Anything that stands out in your guys' mind?"
Yeah, let's hear your idea. And maybe it
Yeah,
might inspire something from me.
Yeah, exactly. I think you might inspire it.
I think you need to have like a more hostile environment, like on the stage. Like I think it needs to be like, I mean, what is a sport? It's like two people going head to head, and a lot of times tempers flare. I think you need to have tempers flaring. Some of the best moments we've seen, things that get clips on all the, all the social medias, are people yelling at each other and like getting in each other's faces over a game. It's always fun to watch. It's funny, and it's also just like you see it translate in Call of Duty. It's like those guys are getting up, they're screaming, they're doing all that stuff. I think you need to have that. That needs to be a part of it. I think that's what makes Overwatch League suck, is because they poach so hard on the sportsmanship thing. They're like making you like the other guy on the other side. And I get it. It's like you don't want to, have that one flare up that goes too far. But I would argue if it does, that just brings a whole bunch of new eyeballs to the game. I like people always say there's no, bad press is always good press, or whatever the fucking phrase is. I'm forgetting it, but no press. Wait, no press
No,
is
all
bad
press.
press.
Yeah,
All press
exactly.
is
Yeah,
fuck. I don't know. Fuck it.
yeah.
Anyway,
no,
I'm just saying.
wait. You just said it right. No,
I said
no.
it. Okay, all right.
I think you said
Maybe,
it right. No, all press is good press.
yeah, right. And it's just like, okay, you click on Twitter that day, and trending at the top of it is ALGS something. You click on it, and it's a video of somebody jumping over a table to run at another guy and do something. Like, hopefully, it never gets to that point.
I don't think
But
it'll ever get to that point, but yeah.
Tell me that would not be hilarious to watch, to see for the first time. Just like some scrawny looking gamer dude jumping over a table and running at somebody else. Like, come on, man. Like, that'd be so funny. And actually, Apex has like a lot of like buff gamers over here. We've got like some buff dudes. But it would still be hilarious nonetheless, and it would get eyeballs, and people would be like, I gotta tune into this. Like, I have to see what this is. I think it needs to be more hostile. Maybe turn the tables towards one another, have them looking at each other, screaming stuff from across the table. That's what I think would bring it up.
Imagine,
me.
but there's 60 people, so like there's 20 teams, so like how would that even? I guess they could look in a parallel. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll find a way. I think Fortnite did something a long time ago where they had something similar to that, but it was like they weren't facing each other. They were kind of like facing all one direction. I don't know, but there's a way. Or even if you don't do it that way, be able to have like ways that they can, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm gonna save my idea. I'm gonna stew on this idea and come back to you guys on it. But I will say, like, just getting more shit talk, getting more competitive juices flowing, I think will always do better for esports.
You want the drama, essentially,
I want
is
drama,
what you're
bro.
saying.
I want drama, bro.
But okay, I'm trying to think. Okay, what does League and CS:GO do differently than Apex? Granted, those are completely different games than ours. Like CS:GO is tactical shooter. Like League is obviously a MOBA. So like Apex as a battle royale. I think one of the biggest things Apex has going for it is match point format, because it does give the drama aspect. But like, it's not necessarily. I mean, yes, prize pooling will always like draw more and more people, but I don't know if that is like the reason why it's technically not a tier one esport. I mean, what we're the high end of tier two. I mean, there's only a few. I think of League. I think of, okay, it is huge internationally, right? I think CS:GO also huge internationally. More people are playing it in Europe than there are in the United States or North America. But I don't. So like, I think worldwide, culturally, I think it's got to be a bigger deal. I think at one point you could argue that Fortnite was a tier one esport, as crazy as that sounds, because of the World Cup and what it had. Whenever it comes to like culturally, I think it just has to be a cultural shift if it's going to be a tier one esport. Is my opinion. Also longevity, because CS:GO and League have been around for forever. So those two things also are added to the pool of making it to tier 1 esport.
Yeah, I would like to see them do more in terms of like well, I'll start off by saying I'd like to see them do more broadcasting stuff of all the regions. Like, in my opinion, there's no reason why every single region that is having their pro league, why it's not being streamed on like the Play Apex broadcast. And I understand that those people need to like get paid, and that's like an expensive thing to like do a broadcast for an entire thing. But I do think that if we want to see Apex get to the next level, really capitalizing and taking advantage of all the opportunities that you have available, and then like encouraging like the NA people to be streaming watch parties for the other regions, and you can build like, if everybody globally is starting to watch Apex on like a much more global level, everybody is going to grow. Because I think Nicewick does a really good job of it, because he does watch parties for like those other regions, and he does really well doing those. But I think I think a big step would be to really just branch out and take advantage of the fact that like it's a global game. I do think that, I don't know, there's no way for it to really work unless you just make it so that there's less. There's no way to make it work, but I wish there was a way for there to be like having NA and say EU, and then like APAC South, APAC North. Like, I think the regions, if they could be running at different times, that would be dope, because then it'd be like each region would have their own off season, but during those off season, there'd be still professional Apex Legends
Just in a
that
different
you
region.
could watch in a different region,
Interesting.
and then somehow time it up so that way it's not too egregiously long from one time to another,
Yeah,
for them
that'd
to
be
like
hard to
meet up
do.
and compete on LAN.
But yeah,
But I do
love
think
that
that
idea.
would be really great, because then there's always comp Apex to talk about. And whether you're talking about like NA versus like NA versus NA or EMEA, like, I think that could be really good, and it would keep the flow of Apex content at a consistent level.
Something that I've been studying a lot and watching a lot of is I've been getting a lot of like really deep into soccer, and they have a system in their there's like a bunch of European leagues, right? And in those leagues, usually it's like the top 4 teams will make it into
Relegated.
something called the Champions League. So
Yeah.
they will go into this competition where all the best teams in the world are fighting for one trophy, right? And then the 5th team will be placed in this thing called the Europa League, which is like a level below the Champions League, but you're still competing for a trophy. And then, like Finn said, the bottom 3 teams or 4 teams get relegated into a lower league. What I was thinking, though, is like, what if we have the top 11, right? They go into ALGS, right? I don't think they would ever do it, but it would be a good idea to go with Enoch's idea to have like the bottom 10 or bottom 11 from each region go into something like the Europa League, where it's like not ALGS, maybe they name it something else, but then they're still competing for something, and you just have it at an offset time so that there's consistent competitive Apex. And like, look at the teams that would still be competing in NA if there was a second, championship, like a Europa League type system. You would still have E8 in, you'd have Lanimals in, you'd have like a lot of really solid teams just NA side, not to mention all the teams that could get their name recognized and players get recognized playing in those leagues from other regions, right? So I think that would be pretty cool.
Like,
Tripods?
That's what I'm saying. Like, dude, Wyatt, I think you're onto something, and I love that, because I think, okay, we just had that question of what would we do in between times? Like, what would be going on in between, the months on end in between, ALGS lands, is exactly that. Instead, you can have another LAN. It might be a smaller LAN, but you would invite those teams that are in the Champions League or what Europa League,
Yeah.
equivalent. And so then you're so right, Wyatt. I think you're like you
That'd
actually
be
nailed
so
this on
cool,
the
dude.
head. Yeah, 100%.
And then like you give like a guy like Nick Merckx who already has such a huge following, he's going to bring his following with him. I mean, people are probably going to roast him and be like let's say they win, like, oh, it's just the Europa League. That's what soccer fans do already. But yeah, so you throw them in there. Now you've got teams. There's still some big names, bro. Like there's really big names just in that alone. I think it would be really good. And you could have it all year long. You basically just competitive Apex just flowing through all the time. And then it just grows the sport, I think. But yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting idea. And I think it's getting close, though. I think a lot of people do love watching. I mean, do we see too many other BRs other than like early Fortnite where they're getting this kind of viewership?
PUBG Mobile.
PUBG Mobile? Yeah,
I think. I don't actually know. I'm joking. I'm laughing because like I'm pretty sure that is a pretty big like mobile game, but I think it's the biggest MOBA mobile game. I guess you can maybe argue, but like, or not MOBA, excuse me, mobile. It's like mobile games are pretty big across the country, or
They're definitely
not,
getting bigger.
the continent, not North America. Jeez Louise, I'm all over the place. I'm super tired.
Oh, bro, I've stumbled over my words like 7 times this episode already.
People
It's
are
ridiculous.
like, people are probably like, what is going on over there? I don't even know where I was going with it. But
mobile. You were just saying mobile game. It's a great mobile game.
I know. I even did. I don't know. There's not other big. I mean, Fortnite's the other battle royale that I can think of that has competitive. You can argue Warzone now.
Well, now they're starting to come out with rank systems, which we'll see how those go. We'll see. They're probably going to come with their own problems, and we'll see what happens there. But yeah, so currently, Apex is probably the number one BR competitively. We'll see how that shifts, but I think they can capitalize off of more of this. So we'll see where they go from here. Ladies and gents, we have a fantastic interview with Noko Puffs here in just a moment. It was awesome. All the way through, just a very solid interview with our guy Noko Puffs. We're going to hit a quick ad, and on the other side, we're going to talk to Noko. All right, here we are, ladies and gents. We are here. He's already making fun of my clap.
Number 40. Clap number 40.
Already making fun of my clap. We've got
yeah.
Noko. He is here. Let's start with the name. I want you to go through the real way to say the name, because I've heard Noko Puffs. I've heard Noko Puffs. I've heard whatever it may be. I want to hear exactly how to say the name, number one. And then number two, I want you to just run through like the origin story of said name.
Got it. So the old way, I would say old way, is Noko Puffs, which is Noko Puffs. So Noko Puffs has always been, how to say it. No Cocoa Puffs. Then it became one of those things where people started calling me No Cock Puffs, No OK Puffs, just all these different types of, Noko Puffs is the one I get the most often. To where when I first met Wig, he was like, he called me Noko, and I hated it because I was just like, everyone used to call me Coco. But kind of in its simplest form, kind of bringing it down now, of I'm rebranded, and I've rebranded, but I'm still trying to do like the YouTube and TikTok and everything to Noko, just Noko, because it is unique. There's not no one like it. There's 55,000 different Cocos, like one of which is probably your dog. So it was one of those things where I wanted to completely separate away from that. But its origin actually started in World of Warcraft, where I randomized it in World of Warcraft. I actually got Nokoko. Got into a raid. I was a big raider back in the day. And the raid leader called me Nokoko Puffs because my name reminded me of cereal. And he was like, your name reminds me of cereal. He was like, the Cocoa Puff cereal. He's like, God damn it, whatever. And I was like, okay. And I went and I changed my name. That was that. So I was like a young, 14-year-old kid.
Okay, well that's interesting. Definitely, yeah. I thought there was gonna be like a deep story behind it. Be like, yeah, man.
No,
long time. World of Warcraft. That's perfect though. That's a perfect way to come up with the name.
Yeah, it was on my birthday, which actually just happened a couple days ago. But
happy birthday!
Thank you,
happy belated.
I appreciate it. So I actually begged my dad for World of Warcraft, but when I got to the loading screen, I'll never forget. I hit that randomize button. I saw No Coco, and I was like, "That's a cool name." I was like, "That's different." I used to be Ice Kid forever, so yeah.
So what was it like being bullied on Twitter by Nick Merckx into a rebrand?
So that's a common misconception. The common misconception amongst the masses was that Nick Merckx was like, you should change your name. The actual person who I think I would give the most credit to is Wig. He was the very first person to call me that. He was the person. I mean, he didn't call me anything else. It was always Noko, always Noko, and it bugged me for so long. But as time went on, and I a lot more people started calling me. They were like, Noko this, fucking. I think. Am I allowed to swear? I probably should say that, but
yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Okay. But yeah, even Peeps actually pisses me off. He calls me Nokes, and that is like my name is already short enough that he just like doesn't even say Noko. He's like, what are you doing, Nokes? I'm like, come on, man, give me something. So yeah, it was not Merckx. It was, I think, Merckx making the jokes that he did definitely was just like, what,
an accelerator.
maybe I'll do it. Yeah. I was like, fuck it. I was like, you know what? He's right. Like maybe I should, finally kind of, push forward with it. I've been thinking about it for a year and a half, and I was like, screw it, let's do it. So there's that. Bound to happen, inevitable.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, beautiful, perfect. You have a crazy long history with this game. You have a crazy long history with this community, and I don't even know exactly where to start. So I guess we'll start before you even got into this community. Let's kind of go through and run through exactly how you got into gaming and your story growing up into gaming, leading into all the Apex stuff.
Got it. I'll try to keep this as short as possible. I've been gaming my entire life. My dad, my three brothers, we all had like a cubicle. My dad used to, my dad worked like in a orthopedic center, and he was so smart with computers that a lot of the doctors would actually, come to him and say, "Can you fix it?" And when he would fix it, they'd be like, screw it, keep it. I'm gonna go buy a new one. So he would actually get like all the pieces and extra parts for all the computers that the doctors would just give away, because they'd be like, screw it, like I don't, I'll just buy a new one. He ended up building us all computers. And with those computers, we kind of started our gaming journey ever since I was a kid. And he's a genius. Had my, we had our little clan that we used to grow up with, and of course with your brothers and whatnot. As time went on, I've always had like a knack for FPS shooters, specifically like Instagame. Back in the day, we're talking Unreal Tournament, we're talking Quake, those like real OG, like the OG Counter-Strike 1.6, that type of stuff. As I continued on my journey, I knew that I had this like above IQ when it came to just like specifically FPS shooters. In other games, I would always be at like, I'd always play it. I would always be kind of at the top of most games that I played. And if I wasn't, I'd be like, it's not my game. I'd be like, there's like this certain like flick that switches in my brain, whether I think, okay, I'm going to be the best, or I'm not even going to try to even worry about competitive. League of Legends is a prime example. I'm ass. But it's, I would say when I got to about 20 years old, this was kind of like the start of my streaming career. I went to a PAX East because I loved it. Went to PAX East, met a lot of people. Specifically, I saw Tim the Tap Man, and I saw him kind of like in this Intel booth, I think it was at the time, and he was surrounded by like 50 people. And I was like, who's that guy? I went up to him. I heard him talk. I heard everybody laugh. They're all watching him play Counter-Strike at the time. And I was like, I want to be that guy, is what kind of like what I said to myself. I was like, that guy's hilarious. I was like, he has all these community. So then I went and I started streaming. As I started streaming, it's not something that haven't done any different, except now I just kind of put the camera on. And as I went through the time, I was just trying to grow and do everything, but I was working, full-time jobs. I worked two jobs at one point. I worked at a place called Hollister, the clothing store. And then I worked at Dunkin' Donuts. And I worked at GameStop. And I worked at CNS Wholesale Grocers, which is like I was a selector, which is like in a warehouse. I would just run from 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night. And I was still streaming about 40 hours a week while working at like those jobs. So I was working about 40 to 45 hours a week, and I was streaming about 40 hours a week. in doing all that. And then when I worked at Verizon Wireless, that was like my last like big boy job before I got into streaming, or before full-time streaming. God, I feel like I'm rambling so much. I'm trying to speed the
No, it's
story
the
up.
question I asked.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah,
question
You're
I
going.
asked.
You're good. You're good. You're good. Keep going. No,
I'm
you're good.
I'm just trying to speed up the story as fast as I possibly can. But to give you like there's so much. I think with my journey, it's a 10-year. I just turned 30, so it's a 10-year long journey. Where a lot of people, whether they know me or don't know me, but it's not many people know that it's been 10 years. I would wake up at 7 in the morning and stream from 7 to 11:30, and then I would get in my car, drive, work from 12 to 9, get out of work, and then stream from 9:30 to like 2 in the morning, and then I'd wake up at like 6 or 6:30 for work the next morning. That it was like this constant I need to be in front of the camera, I need to grind. I was like, this is what I want for passion, or this is what I'm using my passion, this is what I want for my dream. I've always wanted to be a streamer, I always wanted to be a gamer. And that was to like 5 or 10 viewers, 15 viewers. I was making very slow progress. Obviously I switched to Mixer at one point, where I saw a little bit of traction. And as time kind of went on, that's kind of where, Apex came out. And I remember I actually had an injury on my back, and it took me out of work for a month. And about 2 weeks into like my back recovery and being out of work and things like that, I remember getting in my car with my dad, and I looked at him, and I'll never forget it. And I was like, man, like, Dad, I was like, I can't put my finger on it. I was like, but I feel like I'm going to make it. I was like, I feel like something's going to happen. I was like, I can't put my finger on it. I was like, I can't explain it. I was like, but I feel like something, I don't know what it is, like something's going to happen. And then I believe like a week later, or like something at that time, Apex gets released. And I was playing Fortnite at the time, die hard. I was playing Fortnite like crazy. Yeah, that's what it was. It was like whatever. Anyway, and so Apex came out, and my mod was like, "Are you gonna play it?" And I was like, "Nah, like I don't think I'm gonna play another battle royale." Played it the next day. I didn't get off. I played for like 18 hours straight that day. And kind of the rest is history. I just played it every single day, and there it was.
Yeah.
Okay,
and,
quick question. Quick question.
Yeah.
When you were in the car with your dad and you said it and that you felt it,
Yeah.
on a scale of 1 to 10, how much did you believe that it was true?
I think I believed it like an 8, because it was one of those things where like an 8 out of 10, because I don't know what it was. I felt like, so when I would drive home from work, sometimes I would, this is gonna be so silly, but like kind of say, speak it out to the universe.
You're right.
No,
right.
yeah, speak it out to the universe. I would actually sit in my car on my drive home from Verizon Wireless late at night. I used to drive on the highway, and when I get out at late, it would be just me on the highway pretty much. And I used to pretend out loud. I would speak out loud to pretend to talk to a chat that wasn't there. Like I'd be like, what would it be like to speak to 1,000 viewers? And I'd be like, oh, thank you for the sub. Like, it would sound so silly when I'm like saying it now, but it's so funny. Not funny, but it's amazing that I'm able to do that to it's real now. It's there. I look over, and there's the people that I see every single day. So, doing that for a couple years, I would just kind of pretend that I had all these, these viewers, and pretend I had all this stuff. I then, when I was looking at my dad looked at me and he goes, I know. And he looked at me, and I was like, no, I'm serious. And he's like, okay. And I was like, okay. And I kind of like refixed myself in my seat and then put my seatbelt on, and that was that. So.
No, that's really cool, because I think you could make the argument that like exercise that you did on the drive home, like when you were doing that, probably got you to probably played more of a part in getting you to the point where you're at now than you could ever really conceptualize.
You don't realize it,
because you were like training. Well, you had to think about streaming differently, and then you had to believe that it was true, and then you basically were training your brain for how you were going to respond when it eventually happened. And you could argue that if you didn't have if you weren't putting in that programming and practicing and doing and visualizing the reality that you wanted, and then following up with all the work to make it happen, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, most definitely.
Thank you for being able to share that, because
no
that's
problem.
a super cool example. Because a lot of people when they think about you have to because like, everybody like lives in a world of like they have to like see it to believe it.
Mhm.
But I think that if you believe it, you'll eventually see it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
you believed it, saw it in your mind, and then eventually brought it into
Mhm.
reality.
No,
It's just
most
super dope.
definitely. I have a lot of
It's-
stories like that. So
It's so funny because I knew when Noko said that, I knew where E was gonna go with it because
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
such an E thing. Whenever you're like, yeah, like because he says that very often on the podcast, very similar ideologies like that.
Yeah.
And so whenever you said that, Noko, I knew where E was gonna go with it. But I think there is absolutely some truth to that.
mhm.
And so that's cool. That's awesome to hear. Okay, let's get into one thing. This was recent.
Yes.
You just got done with a mouse only challenge to Masters,
Yes.
which is insane. And for those that, well, actually, I'm gonna have you explain it because I don't want to butcher it.
No,
but
go for it.
this happened what last week?
Season 16. Yeah.
Yeah,
The end
yeah.
of season 16, the last 7 days before the season ended. Because I thought season 17 was going to be harder. I was like, oh, it's impossible. I got to do it on this season. But yeah, so season 16, one-handed challenge. It started off as a little joke. I was kind of sitting back in my chair, end of the split vibes. You're kind of just like, what am I doing? Like, you're not really grinding for RP. You're just kind of on to beyond. You're not, I'm not getting preds. I'm like, whatever, right? So I bound W to my Logitech mouse, and I bound W to this button right here. Like, oh, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a front button right here. So then I basically bound W to that, and I put my hand on my chest, and I'm moving with W, and this one's already my slide button, so I was like, move, slide, move, slide. So when I got into fights, the only thing I could do was move forward. And then I thought to myself back in my World of Warcraft days, I was like, I wonder if I can put everything on the mouse. And I was just like, huh. So I looked up, I went on, the like Best Buy, and I typed in like, gaming mouse, and, a lot of like MMORPG mouse. And that I originally the Razer one came up, but I ended up getting the Corsair one because that's all they had. And it's like 12 buttons on the side, and then 15 buttons total, including like the middle mouse button. So I went ahead and I bound everything. And that's when I quickly learned how intense Apex actually is when you really think about it. When you break it down, I had my strafe left, right on the mouse, and obviously go forward, my reload, my abilities, which is like Q, whatever, my ultimate abilities, reload, looting death boxes, grenades, weapon swaps, pinging things, interact, so picking up things, my inventory. So in that way, I need to open up my inventory and drop batteries or drop anything like that. Everything was done with this thumb right here. There was like, so it took me a long time. I obviously got very frustrated during the challenge at some points, which I regret at sometimes, just the passionate in me, like the passionate gamer in me, where I just like, I love to win and I hate to lose. But it's one of those things of, it was definitely an eye-opening experience to say the least, but it was a lot of fun.
It was just impressive, dude. Like, I mean, that is insane. I mainly the whole moving aspect is,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, then you have to aim. Like,
that's right.
Yeah, and then you have to aim. So like moving left and right with your right, with your thumb, and then also moving your wrist. Like, there's so much going on, and I think you nailed it on the head when you said that Apex is a very complex game, and so all of that mashed into one. I mean, a lot of times you're doing a lot of things at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And so you're multitasking. So I don't know how what was your thumb movement look like on that mouse?
It was everywhere. It's funny, actually. One moment actually happened where I saw a Wraith. I'll never forget it. And I was like, okay, you're going to slide into the Wraith. You're going to shoot. You're going to aim. You're going to shoot the Wraith. You're going to reload. You're going to do this. Like, so I slid into the Wraith. I ADS'd and nothing else. I couldn't move. I didn't shoot. I didn't do it. My brain completely shut off to where like I just slid in her, and on like my whole stream saw it. I slid, scoped in, and looked right at her. That's it. I didn't move left. I didn't move right. I just slid, looked at her face, and it was just the funniest moment because it's like, the brain is a funny thing. It just really is. You had the game plan down, but I couldn't execute it because it was just so much. I malfunctioned. And it was very funny. Yeah.
Full-blown meltdown. There we go.
Yeah, basically.
Beautiful. Are there any other challenges you've been thinking of? Because it seems like every streamer right now is coming out with just insane challenges to try and
Yeah.
come up with. And has there been anything else kind of sitting on your mind that you're thinking about trying out?
There's not anything at the top of my mind. There's kind of like the meme challenge where I was like making a joke of the new season and how easy it is to get ranked. So I was jokingly, I've said this, but can it happen? Possibly. I was gonna do a no armor, one hand. It was no armor, one hand, no damage, and I think I said no audio to masters. So like completely turn off my audio, completely do everything on one hand, and then just completely like no armor, no any. I was gonna like, they was jokingly too. I also said no heals, but I don't want to do that. I think that would be too much. But yeah. But that's the only one that's like absolutely absurd that I think I probably could do this split. It would just take a really long time, but I think I could do it.
Yeah, if there was any split to do it, it'd probably be
If
this
it's
one.
this one, yeah.
Yeah, and I think we can get into that a little bit. It's got to be so hard as somebody who's, strictly content, trying to figure out what to do in a season like this. Like I can't even imagine the mental gymnastics you have to go through being like, how am I just going to start up this stream and just play ranked when we know the system where it's at, it's just really not, it doesn't have that same feel, I guess. So how have you kind of combated that other than the challenges, like trying to make sure your mental stays fresh and all that, and try not to think too much about, all the things going wrong? Like what goes into your mindset when you're trying to make sure that you're just showing up and doing what you need to do for your viewers?
So I guess it's a couple of things. I think the number one most important piece is surrounding yourself with people that have good energy. When you surround yourself around people who, when they join the stream, and I've done this, and I've actually gone to people's streams and have seen this, where you hop on someone's stream and immediately it's just, this game sucks, I'm bored, this is awful, this is that, and you're kind of just like, yeah, I get it, right? But you're just kind of like, right? Versus I've been to people's streams where they're just like laughing as soon as you enter. They're laughing. They're having a good time. They're just they're like, bro, like, what do we do? And you can't help but to just be engaged. You're just like, oh my God, like this is funny. Okay, I'm gonna watch this. So I think that's the most important part, is having fun. And I've done a lot in my past with Apex where I've hopped on and I've been negative a lot. I feel stuck. I'm like, man, I don't know what to do. Nobody wants to watch this. Nobody wants to watch this. To when it's came down to just being positive as much as you possibly can, while also just like surrounding yourself with good people. So as far as like the hurdles go, I mean, when I hop on ranked now, I know that it's not the toughest challenge. I know that there's gonna be very frustrated people in the chat. But I basically just try to keep a positive mental attitude with it all and just be like, listen, this is just temporary. We've been through, shit this entire 4 years. There's been highs, there's been lows. We're just in a really big low where we just got to get through it. And if anyone's definitely followed my content for the last 4 years, I've definitely been the most or one of the most vocal when it came to frustrations. And I think that shot me in the foot a little bit. I think that shot me in the foot a little bit. So I'm kind of being more appreciative and just trying to enjoy and doing the best I can with what I have.
Why do you think it's shot you in the foot? Like, is there like a reason other than just the negativity? Was there opportunities you feel like you were passed up on because of it?
Yeah, I definitely think that I had like a bitter phase. And it still has its showings. It still kind of pops up sometimes where I get a little about something. But I think when the Apex first came out, I was known, especially with Wig, me and him coming up together, we were always known as like the most positive people, the most happy, happy individuals. Like when people talked about us, they were like, these guys are fucking great. Like these guys are, oh my God, they're so funny. They're whatever. To a large portion of that then started to get like twisted to where when people came to my channel, it'd be comments like, damn, you used to be so positive. What happened? Like, damn, I didn't know you were so toxic all of a sudden. Like when has this started? And like, man, I've been coming here for the last 2 months and you've said nothing but negative things every day. Like, like comments like that, you look at them and you're like, damn, has it really been 2 months? Have I really just been this bitter and this kind of like mad for months. And you really think about the larger picture. Like, imagine you going to work every day and you have people, their viewing experience of watching you is to be angry all day. They're probably like, bro, this isn't the guy that I watched. And I think a lot of my viewers saw that and they kind of dipped, and they kind of found that that elsewhere. They found that, streamer that they kind of mesh with. So that's why I say it kind of shot me in the foot.
Was there a moment in particular, other than just the comments, but was there like one shining moment where you're like, dude, I got to stop this. I got to go back to what it was. I'm losing these viewers that like I got because of my positivity. Was there like a moment you had to sit down and like have a conversation either with yourself or with somebody else? Or was it just from the accumulation of comments that you were seeing?
I think it was a little bit of both. I think I've had a bunch of conversations with a bunch of different people. But I think in the most recent time, Nick Merckx was actually in my chat, and I had no idea because, like, at the end of the day, you never know who's watching, right? And Nick Merckx, who doesn't watch my chat often, and I think this was like a key part, right? Is Nick is a busy guy. He has his own stream to worry about. So when he takes his time to go to somebody's chat, whether it's for a minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, doesn't matter, right? He came into my chat. He says, "Bro, you have to stop talking." Like his only like 2 sentences he said to me is when he joined my stream. He's like, "Bro, you got to stop talking about this." He goes, "Every time, man." And like, it was that comment. I mean, I could probably put it up on my Twitch right now, and it'll probably be his last comment in my chat. Is someone who barely watches me, someone who doesn't give me hours and hours and hours to know that I make up for it in other ways, right? You have someone who watches me in just glimpses, and every single time he came into my chat, I was a negative piece of shit, or I was always talking about numbers and just being like, "Man, what am I doing wrong?" He's like, just do it. Just play. Just be happy. He's like, "Bro, just go. Make the content," And I think that's something that kind of stuck with me because I was like, we don't talk every single day, but that right there was someone who, again, doesn't watch me often, can make a comment like that kind of sucks. So that was the key switch.
Yeah, and that's incredible to see somebody with his success is still trying to make sure that others can see, what exactly they're doing. And I think that's the one thing people kind of miss out on when you do the same job for so long. No matter how cool the job is, there's just certain things that happen in it, and you just start to get annoyed. And even in streaming, there's things like people. There's a lot of things streamers have to deal with that people don't fully understand. And I'm sure there's some things for you that have made it difficult along the way. Going through this 10-year journey, was there ever a time where you're like, this is it, I'm done, like I just can't do this? I'm sure there's been plenty, but was there any that stick in your mind, particularly any moments of like absolute weakness where you're just like, dude, I don't know if I can do this anymore?
Yeah. I think I quit streaming multiple times for 4 or 5 months at a time. I think it was kind of just one of those things of when I started working at the warehouse. There was a point in time where, for all the warehouse workers, if you guys have ever done it or seen it, things like that, but I was a selector, like driving a pallet jack, lifting, thousands and thousands of pounds every single different shot. You're lifting, you're moving, you're running. It was one of those things where like my body physically, I would come home from work, just dirt, just like scratches, bleeding everywhere. And I just sit there and be like, I can't stream right now. Like I'm too tired, but this is what pays the bills. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to get some good sleep tonight and then do it again. So that was probably the hardest part, I think, is when I worked at that warehouse job. I think that was probably my longest break where I quit, but I definitely managed to come back, at times.
So I know Wyatt had mentioned as of right now, you're currently doing content. And at one point you were doing challengers. I don't really want to bring up the whole situation.
No, you can't. You can't. Actually, it's so funny. I would like to clear the air.
Okay. All right. Then let's just talk about it then.
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good. I knew the thing about Taxi will always hold a special place, because he has we're part of the originals. Like the originals was me, Wig, Taxi. No one will ever take away our laughs and the first time I ever met him, which is back in Poland. All the great memories we had. And again, this kind of goes back to my bitter comment, right? Where there's some things I get kind of about, and I hold that little grudge inside of me a little bit. But when I hit up Taxi, he said, "Listen, it'll be a lot of fun." I was like, "This is going to be purely fun. We're not going to take this serious."
For those that don't know, Noko's talking about Challengers specific.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm talking about the Challengers.
You're good.
And I remember when playing with Taxi, I wanted to obviously have fun, but at the same time too, let's take it a little serious. You know what I mean? I knew our skill set. I knew we were very talented gamers. I knew that like we could easily make it to finals if we just, take our heads out of our asses and things like that. Like, it was one of those things where we're way too talented individually to be not making it to finals at the bare minimum. So there was things about Taxi where it was like that one specific play where it just sounded so silly in my brain of the argument that we had. I don't really remember it. I just knew that I was like, he would call us out on a play, but if we ever called him out, it was always like, no. Like it was one of those things. When he left, in my brain, my first thought was, whatever, he left. Like it didn't bother me. I knew it was for fun. I didn't take it that serious. Then Reddit happened, and it spread like wildfire. People were pointing at him, going crazy on him, and being like, fuck you, Taxi, blah, blah, blah. And it was one of those things where I thought to myself, let me not comment, because if I comment, it only feeds into it. And I think the internet is, especially specifically Reddit, is they inject the first sign of drama and anything hateful, whatever, they just inject it right into their veins as fast as they possibly can so they get a hit. And it was one of those things of, I was like, let me just leave it be and whatever. And then Taxi kind of brought it up a couple more times, but I was like, don't comment, and let it go. Kind of fast forward, there was I think it was more so what got me upset about Taxi and I specifically. And I think this is why like I unfollowed him and I kind of like separated myself from him. And I think this goes as a message to those that are streamers, that are my friends, and that if you have friends in the streaming space and friends in general, is when Taxi had like thousands and thousands of viewers, he would let his chat roast me. And it's something that like I've gone through a lot of negative hate in recent time where people, whether they call me old, washed, this, that, it spreads to a point where people may not even know my name, may not even know, may have been to my stream not one time, and immediately will hear my name and think old, washed, this, that, right? Because like hate follows hate. Like the snowball, it spins in both directions, right? So if like you think about a player like Verhulst, people could be like, Verhulst is so good. Oh my God, he's disgusting. They have never watched him before in their life, but they'll believe the 7 other pros that are talking about it, right? And like that's kind of the direction. And Taxi would just kind of let his chat roast me, and he would just let it go. He would add to it, things like that. And in my head, I think to myself, being like, these are the people that are hurt, that hurt your career, whether or not you believe it. There's some levels of joking. I understand that, and I'm not taking away from that. But there's a level of where it makes, if you obviously feel some type of way about it and you're uncomfortable about it, I think that you when you bring somebody down for the sake of your own content, you're not really worried about a friend. You're just worried about the laughs. And I think at the expense of your friend. And I think that's what sucks. So that's why I kind of separated myself from him, because I was like, man, this guy, and some others, there's some others that I don't necessarily talk to on a daily basis, because I just separated myself from them, knowing that like every time they talk about me, it's not positive. It's always jokes and to get their chat to laugh or something like that. And it kind of sucks. So yeah.
I'm sorry for saying you're old.
No, you're good. See, the old comment is, it's so funny because it's like it happened so fast, and it was one of those things where you think it was nothing, but it became like a staple of my name.
No, I really did. No, like
it did
just as fast as it did with Snipe. Like they
exactly.
just grouped. They said, "Oh, Snipe down, Noko."
Yeah,
old
there
guys.
it is.
Throw
Yeah,
Nick Merckx in there.
Mm-hmm,
I'll probably hit there eventually. I'm 25. I still think like
yeah. I get it.
I'm only a few years away before it's like, oh.
Yeah, it's just, and those little things, and like I said, the snowball goes in both directions, right? Like hype follows hype, and whether it's positive or negative. And my thing is to go back to that one hand challenge, that was something that those comments flooding back, being like, you're different, you're a beast, you're nuts, you're this, it was all positive. Not one single person was in that chat being like, this guy sucks. They were like, this guy's insane, right? And ironically enough, I think it almost doubled my viewership, back, because I got a lot of the old viewers back, and that positivity started flooding the chat, where I would even go to Hal's chat, and it went from like, oh, don't play with Noko. Please, God, don't play with Noko. To being like, that's Noko the fucking, that one-handed nut. That guy's insane. Like, it's something so simple as typing in someone's chat and reading those first initial comments, being like, Noko, like the fucking GOAT. Versus like 6 months ago, I would type in somebody's chat and you'd be like, you're ass. Like, you're this, you're that. And it's like, damn, like, when did that happen? You know? So it's just, it's something you just gotta, I guess, whatever, navigate in the industry.
Yeah, and it's got to be really tough when a lot of that. I don't know if all of it is coming directly from Taxi, but it does kind of suck.
Oh, no,
if, like
yeah, no,
that
it's hard.
chat, like, well, I mean, it does suck because it's like that was somebody that you decided to like do something with, and
Yeah.
then it turns back on you a little bit, and then all of a sudden now it's turned back on you to a point where you're going into other chats and typing, and you're just getting negativity. What is there any way to deal with this? Like, I feel like everybody asks this question and it's been asked so many times, but like personally for you, how do you handle just the negativity and people being able to basically say whatever they want and you really don't have anything you can say back because you don't know them, they're not in front of
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
like
yeah.
you can't really prove anything unless they were to go watch you for an extended period of time. Like, how do you handle it? How does Noko
Yeah.
handle it?
Some days are harder than others. That's the best answer that I can give you. Is some days I can look at a comment and I feel great. I feel untouchable. I think what happens is it also depends on your day. When I have a bad day, those comments hurt 10 times more. When I have a great day, those comments, they're deflected if like I'm wearing a fucking body armor. Like I feel nothing. Like I'll look at a comment. If I had a really good day, had like whether, you know, just popped off or whatever, I'll look at a comment that says your ass. I'm like, I don't go, fuck, you know what I mean? But if I had a really bad day, so the comment of your ass, that same one, I'd be like, yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? I'll just kind of sit there and be like, that sucks. So I guess there's no real way to navigate it except you really have to have thick skin to roll it off. And I promise you on everything that there's not a single person on this planet that can take the negative talk of the internet and not feel some type of way about it. And what I mean by that is no one can just ignore. There's every single person at some point addresses the haters because you can't stand it. You have to address the haters because they get to you at one point. If you're in this industry, it will happen. You will 100% at one point fall. Like you'll feel it. You'll get sad over it. You'll get mad, whatever. But it's just kind of like it's part of the gig. Is the worst answer that I can give.
Would you agree that it's like a skill that you can develop though? Yeah,
I definitely think it's a skill you can develop. Absolutely. Okay. Actually, super random, but Machine Gun MGK, Machine Gun Kelly. I actually asked him about this. I met him years ago.
Flex. Hold
on.
Here's
the thing. Yeah,
was Megan there? Was Megan there?
No, Megan wasn't there.
Yeah.
Megan wasn't there. It was actually so funny. I was drunk, and it was in Austin, and he was at like the taco trucks or whatever, and I was like, that guy looks familiar. So I asked him a question. I said, "Yo, I have a question." I was like, "How do you deal with the haters?" And he goes, "Listen." He goes, "You ever find yourself scrolling through Twitter?" He goes, "You'll read 100 negative or 100 positive comments, and you'll find the 2 negative ones." And he goes, "You know what's crazy about those 2 negative ones? If they ever meet you in person, they'll want your fucking autograph." And I was like, that's kind of like, if they ever met you in person, I doubt they're going to be like, fuck you. You know, I doubt they're going to be like talking all of that mess. If they see you in person, be like, we took a picture. You know what I mean? Like, even if they were talking shit about you or whatever, you don't know that. You don't know them because they've never, they know you've never seen them before. So to them, they'll probably just take a picture with you. You'll probably be like, oh, this is it would probably be the coolest interaction. All your haters will probably be the coolest interaction ever because it's a real one-on-one. It's real. It's not like the internet they get to see. It's not you in a square box. And I think that was one of the answers he gave me. And I was like, all right, cool.
I had a question. And then
you got a question?
No, go ahead because the MGK thing threw me off. Like a really
it's a great story though. That's
that was a great story. Yeah, then I lost it. Go ahead.
Yeah, but he gave me like this face too. He was like, man, fuck him. He was kind of giving me like that like whatever, and then he just kind of quickly dipped. It was like quick, like 20-second response, and he was out. He was gone. Like I was like, cool. That was it.
Okay, so something that you said that is easier to like not care on when the like a day is good and when a day is bad. Would you agree with the statement that whether a day is good or bad is a choice?
I don't.
He just went off philosophical.
No, it's. I wouldn't even say it's
you.
necessarily It's not a choice, because there's things that happen within our day that can flip the day around. Right, that's out of our control. And I think that can kind of change the mood of the day, if you will. So I don't know. I think. Yeah, I think it's the actions throughout the day that change the course of the day. To be honest, I don't know if there's a. I definitely can't say I've woken up, saying I'm gonna have a great day and bad things happened and me still being like I'm having a great day. Like usually it's like I have something bad happen the other day and it pisses me off and I'm like I'll have a bad part of the day, but you know I'll still generally be in a good mood for the most part.
Gotcha.
And the interesting thing about all of this is we're kind of in like a trial phase of we've never had this much ability to be able to have others that we've never met and will never meet say things about us all the time. It's just one of those things. And so I think it's just an interesting concept. I think it's an interesting idea because you see all the time, like sports stars are like, yeah, I don't read any of that. It's like, I don't think you're
You're not.
I feel like you're lying because I
yeah.
remember like when this podcast first dropped, I read 2 Reddit comments and almost jumped off a cliff. Not literally.
Yeah.
I was just very like
edit it out.
Yeah, it hits you out of nowhere where it's just like, damn, like people have like an opinion of me that is negative. Like you don't even think about it. And so getting back to like my question of all this, I just went through a long like maze to get here, but I think actually I lost the question. I just completely lost the question. That's going to be a Reddit comment. No, but it is, we are in like this trial phase where it's like, I think 10, 15 years down the road, there's going to be real ways of dealing with this and handling this type of negativity. But right now you are kind of in the beginning of all this where there's going to be probably some things you're going to have to go through to figure out how to better manage it all the way through, because it's not just you, it's everybody. It's anybody who has some sort of platform is kind of dealing with this type of thing, but it's so early in all of this that we'll see how it pans out, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it goes back down to if a lot of the haters, I truly believe this, that a lot of haters that are like, fuck that guy, whatever, if they were to meet me in a bar and be like, bump into me or whatever, or like, let's share a drink, you know what I mean? I'm sure they're the coolest fucking people on the planet, but we'll never know that because it's the internet, right? It's troll mentality, it's stuff like that, to where it just feeds into this toxic hate that is like, it almost feels inevitable, like someone's gonna do it, you know? And that kind of sucks. But yeah, dealing with it is, I have no answer. Like dealing with it is as of right now, it's just kind of dealing with it is the best answer I can give, or worst answer, really.
No, I appreciate that answer because, like I said, I feel like a lot of times you get like a veiled answer on that question. It's always like, oh, I just don't read it. Yeah, that doesn't bother me. It actually doesn't. I grew up with really thick skin. It's like, dude, I don't know. Like, I feel like everybody gets attacked by that a little bit, and something can offend them a little bit, you know?
Oh,
like,
a prime example is this is haters. Oh my God, on Twitter. And this is how you can tell that people truly could never, you know, or not never, but couldn't do a day in our shoes as easy as they think. Is if you ever seen like a troll account or Twitter troll or even someone who has like a decent following, let's say like 500 followers, 600 followers, right? Something like that, right? Where they kind of have like some level of an account, not like my name is Twitter dickhead 46271, you know, all that stuff. So what happens with them is they'll respond to every single comment. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but
no, I've seen this.
Yeah,
I've seen
and
this.
they'll respond, and they're reacting off of emotion, and they're like, "Fuck you," like da 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 da, and then they go back, and then they just respond. You'll look, they've replied to 17 different accounts. But if you look at somebody who is familiar with dealing with hate, we say nothing.
Yeah,
we might say one thing, and then we're gone. We tweet one response, and we realize we're like, you know what? We either delete it or we're just like, not worth my time. Never mind. Right?
Yeah.
And they, like, the second that they get challenged, they can't help but to respond and deal with the hate and add more hate to it because like they feel attacked. And I think that a lot of people underestimate the fact that if you were attacked by a mass group of people or 5-10 people, your immediate response is to like defend. And I think a lot of people again underestimate the fact that they think they can do that, and I don't think they can.
Yeah, I call those guys reply guys because you'll click on their account and there will be no actual tweets. You just go to the tweets and replies, and it's all, and it's usually like it's very like specific. Like you'll click on a reply guy's account and it'll be like all NBA people, or it'll be like all gamers. And I've seen it like especially with y'all, like some of the streamers and gamers. You'll click on them, no tweets, all replies, and they're always negative every single time. And I'm just like, what is causing you to do this? I don't know. We'll figure this out in like, there'll be a case study in 50 years kind of describing this behavior.
Bro, I legitimately, like, I think it's way easier to deal with the, like, hate, like, that you get because something that helped me a lot was when I made, like, the realization that somebody is sitting there and the best use of their time that they can come up with is to talk shit to somebody on the internet. And then I think about it, I'm like, wow, how fucking sad would my life have to be where the best use of my time was to be doing that? And then I'm like, wow, I feel bad for that person.
Yep.
That person's opinion just does not matter in the slightest. And then moving on from there.
Yep. 100%.
Because it's just wild. Like, out of all the things you could be doing, you're gonna talk shit online.
And it's like, it doesn't get you anywhere. It's like, what the fuck?
Well, no, the funniest thing is because like I would argue that a decent amount of like my TikTok growth was because I just had hella people talking shit in my comments. Just absurd amounts.
Dude, you would have random videos where it was just your entire chat was so negative, and I was like, why? But that video would be going crazy. I'd be like,
oh yeah,
right,
dude, I had a video talking about like the Eva 8 versus a like Mastiff or something like that, and I said Eva a little bit weird, and boom, like 200K. It was like a minimum 100K. I thought it was going to be like lob it up, see how it does. But like it just exploded, and it was like, why are you saying it like that? Like just like, and just comments just crazy. And it's just so funny because like they like give you their energy in terms of like their interaction with you, which then boosts your shit because it's like the social media platforms are like, oh, people are engaging with this. Let's show it to more people. And so haters actively fuel the success of the people that they're hating on.
I'll take the hate. Yeah, I mean, I won't take the haters, but I get it completely.
Oh,
it's like the haters. The haters are your motivators, type of thing. It's like that's the fucking quote. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's TikTok is weird
for sure.
Moving off of the hate talk.
Oh, can I say? Sorry. Can I say one more thing?
100%. Go for it.
I didn't get to finish the whole taxi thing. I just want to say
go back
that.
to it. Yeah, go back.
The finalize the product. I actually have zero hate for taxi. To where I should have, because what I told you guys, I actually never reached out and DM'd him. Again, out of the bitterness and kind of just being like, I shouldn't have to reach out to him. But it's one of those things of like, I didn't talk to him about it. I didn't say, I didn't have a conversation behind closed doors. And I think that also added to the problem. So it's one of those things where a lot of people think we hate each other. I don't hate him at all. I still laugh at his clips that I see sometimes on YouTube highlights and stuff like that. I'm like, taxi, he will always be, like, regardless, he'll always, and I'm sure he feels the same way, that we may kind of like say our remarks here and there, but he'll definitely hold a special place in my heart, because of how, I guess, my career, where it is. So it's one of those things of he's a pain in my ass, but it's one of those things of I always got love for him. So it's one of those things. I just want to make sure that there's no like ball spilled up into hate towards him or anything like that. Like, I think he's great, but yeah,
that's
you can
good.
go.
And that's good. No, that's good. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that, and I'm glad it's for you too. You kind of get some closure too.
Yeah. I've never really talked about it, so.
Well, now we have, so I appreciate you doing that. Okay, so just announced yesterday, I believe, or it could have been today. My days have been long, so I can't really tell you. But Albralelie has recently, and Lou's been doing it for about a week, I think now, but Alb has just recently announced that he is going to be switching up until next pro league, next pro split, LCQ, over to roller, which is crazy to think that Albralelie of all people is switching over, and Lou on top of that. So I think it's a hot topic right now. This gets brought up about every single month. I mean, I really do think we need to have we like the Apex. The Apex community needs to have some sort of timer where we start like from the first aim assist tweet to like, I don't know, the next one from like a large person. It's probably around a month, but
at least.
Yeah, I would love to hear your opinion as somebody who I don't believe you've ever played roller, at least competitively. You've always been an M&K person, or at least I've always thought you have you as that. So long-winded question to say, how do you feel about this interesting topic that is happening in Apex right now?
I've made the comments before. This used to be a very heated topic for me. Nowadays, it's one of those things of I try to just glaze over the topic where I'm just like, it is what it is. Both inputs, right? But I think there's so much with that question. It's just like, how do you answer this question without getting hate, right? And it's impossible. So I'll say that Albralelie and Lou both are mechanically gifted players. Their brains are very, when it comes to Apex Legends, they're very bright. They've had very established careers. I think they're looked at in the community as just solid players, right? Like no one would ever look at them and be like, they aren't insane, right? Do I think this is going to help them win a championship and things like that? Not necessarily, no. I was actually talking to my Wig and Greek about this a little earlier, but it's there's definitely things on M&K, not in a mechanical sense. I would say that M&K provides the ease of things on a very small scale, such as being able to open your map and fully moving your character freely. I think as an IGL, I've been IGL'd by a Stunny's a prime example. Stunny would actually IGL. He would check. He'd be like, I need to check where I need to go. He would open up his mini map, and he would stand still, and he would just kind of like look, like he couldn't move and run. And if anybody that's in part of competitive Apex, every single second counts running to the zone. Whereas like an M&K player can just press M and fully utilize their entire character while still moving forward and still going to the objective and zooming into the map and doing all that stuff in a very clean way. So something that's so simple, yet in the grand scheme of things, is actually a very, very helpful mechanic. So I think when you kind of boils down to it, I think controller, it allows you to make it. How do I word this? The mistakes you make you feel less punished. And the reason I say this is I think I saw a Twitter post about this. But there's times where a controller player will be completely out in the open or just completely mispositioned, and you'll peek them and they'll one clip you, or they'll do so much damage and you're like, what the you know what I mean? So it like, I don't say it necessarily rewards bad behavior, but it's definitely less punishable. Whereas like an M&K player, if they're caught out in the open, they're just dead. Like they're, especially against a controller player. And again, that kind of boils back down to the positioning aspect. So do I think it's going to make them better? No. I just think that like, will it makes their mistakes less punishable? I think that is a very high possibility. But I think at the end of the day, smart players will just continue to dominate. Now, to kind of like not take away, but kind of like add some validity, that triple M&K or triple controller and things like that, those teams kind of struggle. A good balance. The Alliance is a prime example of this. They were one of the triple M&K teams in the EU scene. Obviously very good. They were still awesome. They swapped one player out, got one of the top controller players in the EU scene. They are dominating on another level that they can't even, like, no other team feels even close. They were trolling on that last. It felt like they were trolling. If you watched it, it felt like they were just kind of trolling a little bit. But Effect is just this cannon. He goes in there. He's a smart player and gets those shots down, gets that damage down, high kills. And I think he's able to complement the team to where it makes them play better. It's kind of a long answer. I'm sorry, but to add to basically sum it all together, yeah, I think it could.
Dude, this is such a complex topic, especially in the competitive scene specific, because I mean, this is so much different. I mean, this could go a completely different topic when we're talking casual play.
Yeah,
if we're talking to competitive,
strictly
right?
competitive.
Yeah,
strictly
this is
competitive.
strictly competitive, exactly. And this is such a dynamic thing, because there's not I mean, besides Fortnite, there's not another. I guess you could say Warzone now has a rank system, but there's not a whole lot of battle royales that have mixed inputs specifically at a competitive level. The only other one is Fortnite, and even then, I remember, oh gosh, the obnoxious tweets about aim assist on that.
Yeah,
too, but,
yeah.
But this is just like a really complex topic, really.
No, it definitely is. I think you have to mess around with aim. I think aim assist is definitely strong. There's no, I think every pro player would agree that it's very, very strong. But kind of when you kind of take away the step away from the game for a couple days, right, and kind of like let your thoughts kind of gather, you shouldn't have this anger towards aim assist, right? You should just be like, yeah, it's strong. I definitely think I personally think that controller at the competitive level, you do need a mix of M&K and controller for the things I mentioned earlier. But it's one of those things where I don't think it's the end all be all. You switch the controller, you're gonna be the best player in the entire world. However, with that being said, there's definitely been energy again. Guild, you got Sykes on on Xset. You have Effect on Alliance. These teams swapping out their players for getting really top tier, high rated these controller players. They historically do better. So it's one of those things of, I think competitively it's almost a no brainer to have a controller player in our team just for that. Because I think it just elevates the team altogether.
That's why it's more impressive. Like, it's so impressive to see like 100 Thieves and like the all M&K teams like still compete and do really well. I'm just like,
they just
man,
won't
these
get
people...
high kills. That's
right.
The main thing. Yeah, their brains are unbelievable. They are just so smart. They always make it to the end zone. It's fucking unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Okay, so we're gonna do double tap. Essentially, I give you a statement and then you respond with one word. Some people have been doing two. It is what it is.
Okay.
But yeah, you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Number 1, aim assist.
OP.
Good. Number 2, L-Star.
Strong.
Number 3, rookie to masters challenges.
Boring.
Got him.
Number 4, Kings Canyon.
Thank God it's not Broken Moon. Sorry, that needed a sentence.
Number 5, this is based off of the tweet that you had earlier, or not that long ago. No Cocoa Puff's biggest asset to an organization.
Personality.
So
beautiful.
Good. That was a great double tap.
Beautiful.
Shots fired.
Speaking of that, do you have any I mean, you can throw it out there. You have any orgs that you're like super stoked? Maybe
I would definitely regret some things in my past and decisions and things like that, reacting off of high emotions and again. But yeah, do I mean, I'm open. There was I think I would love to talk with TSM again if that ever had the opportunity to. But orgs like Team Liquid, Luminosity, 100 Thieves obviously have always been on my radar. So it's one of those things of, I think now more than ever, I think we all kind of got a taste of the industry and what could happen, after COVID. Is one of those things of a lot of people going back to work. We got very accustomed to this high influx and things like that, and we realized, maybe I realized that we're very fortunate to be able to wake up and do this every single day. And it's one of those things of these organizations being able to be a part of them. You guys, it's not only their job, but it's your job to create this like family and this place for you and them to succeed. So I'm excited for any org that is into my DMs. I'm definitely down to talk. But there's a whole other conversation I can get into.
What's the favorite? I feel
What's
like
the favorite?
I already know the answer, but I want to and why?
So originally, what's the favorite? It's always been 100 Thieves,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
Everyone, it's always been 100 Thieves.
Mhm.
Now, I will say, in current times, it's one of those things. Do I think is the answer now 100 Thieves? And that is, I don't know.
Mhm.
It's
There might be some stepping stones along
yeah,
the way.
100 Thieves has always been that org that has always scratched what my girlfriend would say. It was like good brain juice. It was always giving me good brain juice. So whether it's their merch colors, the creators that they have. When I moved to LA, I filmed a lot of stuff with them pre-COVID, so I was able to like really get to see all that filming and to get the people, things like that. Past COVID, I don't get to see those creators a lot. I filmed a lot of amazing stuff. Peter Park, that guy's unbelievable. You have Jesus, I mean the entire. I mean, I can name everyone on the fucking organ. It's just crazy. Even like the intern. Like I know Josh, who was an intern, who's now a full time creator. It's just crazy. Got Noah. Obviously got Wig. Enable. Like all of them. It was just great. Foosley. Well, yeah, Foosley filming all this stuff with her was like a lot of fun. But anyway, but that again, that was all pre COVID. Now we're past that. I don't really see any orgs really doing too much on that side that really scratches that itch of like brain juice, right? Because it was what made me fall in love with the org so much. It was just how it felt like a family, and how every org kind of feels now. It just kind of feels like they're surviving. So the dynamic has completely changed to where it was to where it is. So I would like to join an org to where it feels like that family again, because I think that's very important. And ironically enough, I'm seeing TSM kind of snag a couple of people on their roster, which they're very, very funny. I'm a big fan of Fan. So like the good friend of mine back in the day. So like as I left, a lot of the content creators started to join, and it was a lot of fun for obviously got Mandy now and things like that. So but I think yeah, 100 Thieves will still kind of always have that special place in my heart for sure.
Very fair. So one of the things, so we talked about your journey into Apex and and your journey with streaming and everything leading up to it. But really, can you get into like the journey and the process of how you went from no Cocoa Puffs, 10 to 15 viewer Andy, I want to make this my dream, to no Cocoa Puffs, firmly established. Oh, well, not no Cocoa Puffs, Noko, firmly established streamer, living in LA, doing the whole thing.
Yeah. A lot of risk. I think with this industry, I get people have this, but this is what pissed me off the most is people are like, have this and they're like, oh, you're so entitled, or you're so this, or like, oh, you're only saying this because you're here. And I think a lot of people, regardless of what industry you're in, I think a lot of people look at somebody only on the basis of their success in recent times and not what they did to get there. And like even explaining to you guys the story today, it's going to reach a lot of people to where they're not going to know that I was streaming for 6 years with 5-10 viewers before I became who I am. Grinding those 40-hour work weeks and then streaming 40 hours. What really kind of skyrocketed me is one, that circle that I surrounded myself with was Wig was the prime example. Taxi was a prime example. We were just kind of those guys in the scene at that time. And then obviously teaming with Madness and Lyric and kind of going on from there. What really skyrocketed me though was YouTube. YouTube is the golden key. It's the golden ticket that is harder to get than anything else. YouTube is, if you blow up on YouTube, you're set for life. I truly believe that. And when I mean set for life, I mean, if you blow up on YouTube, you just have to make sure you can't drop out of that algorithm. You have to post like crazy, because once you fall out, getting back in is like a miracle. Getting in the mirror, it was a miracle, So getting out of it is it sucks. And I think that's kind of the boat that I'm in right now, because the majority of my viewers actually found me from my guides. And I think that's what blew me up, and that's what made me the content creator that I am now in terms of like that establishment of number wise. But of course we have TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, anything. The people out there that want to be streamers, you have to post on everything with zero exceptions. If you truly want it, it should be at least once every couple days, once every day. It doesn't matter. And for all the people that are like, that's not worth posting, it is not your decision whether or not the content is is appealing to you. Because I always bring this up, but the content creator Dog, I think his name is Dog, the guy that hold the cranberry juice while riding a skateboard. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that on TikTok.
I do remember vaguely seeing that, and then he just like blew up crazy.
The guy rode a skateboard drinking cranberry juice, listening to a song, and he blew up. That's how I know him. So like that guy blew up from that video, just to show you that it doesn't matter at that point, just post. And that should be the base of it. But that's kind of how I got to where I am. Is I just a lot of luck, then a lot of work, and just maintaining and posting. So
another question I had going back to the last 10 years was, you talked about just being being out in the workforce, and speaking from experience here, like being in the workforce now and also doing this on the side, there's a lot of things that go into that. And a lot of our listeners are kind of in the same boat. It's like we're creators, but at the same time, you still got to clock in, you still got to go to work, and a lot of times in a 9-to-5 setting or whatever it may be. Was there any tips you had along the way other than just passion? Because obviously passion's going to get you through. But there has to be some sort of other tips you had to do. Maybe it was scheduling, making sure you're getting good sleep, good, like whatever it may be. Was there anything that helped you work while you were working throughout the day and then maintain the stream throughout the night, other than just pure passion, like things you had to change in your lifestyle to make sure you were able to get there?
No, of course. Sacrifice, I think, is the correct term. I was 20. So I was very fortunate in the regard of like living with my parents. I had the conversation with my parents, and one thing they always told me was, make sure you have enough money to pay your bills, and you have money for a rainy day. And that's it. Like we'll take care of the rest. We'll give you a roof over your head. We'll support you in your dreams and things like that. So as I did that, where the sacrifice comes from is for me, it was, I didn't party. Dude, don't me wrong, I did have my party phase. You know what I mean? I definitely took time off streaming where I got drunk Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I definitely went through my phase for a little bit, as you should. If you're in your early 20s, have fun. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying go get drunk, but I'm saying have fun, enjoy your early 20s. But at the same time too, there's a part of you that if you really want something, I think specifically with that younger, I even thinking back to my younger generation self, is so many people were always like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to, they would always kind of like spit out their dreams with zero work ethic to get there. So it's they were just kind of talking. So with the sacrifice is, you don't get to go to the beach, you don't get to go on vacations. You're 2 weeks off from, you want to go on vacation from work, you take 2 weeks off from vacation from work, and you put those 2 weeks into streaming and playing at home. You make content, things like that. And that's what I did. I've never gone to spring break. I've never done that in my 30 years. I've never done spring break. I've never done crazy fancy trips, that like with the boys, you know what I mean? I think I had one, it was like a cruise ship. So to those that have that luxury of being able to sacrifice that stuff, I say that's where I think that's step one. And then to those that, have a family and have a girlfriend and have kids and, have mortgage and things like that. The sacrifice is I think at that point, it's more time management, because I will never say to sacrifice your family and your kids and, all stuff like that. I mean, that's priority number one. Streaming and especially if it has no money involved, your family's priority number one. So I would say if you're going to sacrifice and you're doing anything, you're going to do something that doesn't put your family in jeopardy, and make sure that I always say this on stream, but make sure your bills are paid. Make sure your bills are paid. Make sure your fridge is full, and make sure your loved ones are taken care of. And it's like, as long as you check those boxes off, at the end of the day, if you got some extra hours in, put that to whatever you're doing in life. And I think that's whether that's streaming, whether that's another dream, whether that's business or whatever you want to do in life. But make sure that those three things are checked off, and I think the rest is, you can time manage around that.
Beautiful.
You just answered the question that I always ask people.
Was
Before
that
he got to ask it. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, I always ask people because
First time ever.
I always ask people because everybody we interview is basically in like the top 1% of the field that they've chosen to go into. And so my favorite question is always, what would be one piece of advice that you could give somebody that, regardless of what field it was, that would help them get into that top 1%?
Yeah.
And so sacrifice, obviously, you just mentioned one. Is there anything else that you'd be able to list on top of that? Or is it just sacrifice, time management, and just the grind? And now also, we previously talked about it, the rehearsal of success that you did. Which I still think that is so cool that you actually like went through and like did that process.
Man, I can
and
tell
then now
you're
standing here today, like doing it real, like that's cool.
Yeah, I'll never forget. I mean, I even just thinking about it, it's like I remember it's like even specific parts of the road I remember vividly. So it's kind of crazy. Trying to think.
I'm gonna start doing that more. High key.
Yeah. Do it, honestly.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like that is like alpha like game that you just spit.
I remember sitting there, be like, thank you so much for like the one sub. Good to see you. I'd be like, how are you? You know what I mean? Like, whoa, like, oh my god, like I just popped off. I'd be like, yeah. I would even like pretend like I just popped off. Oh my god, like I just killed 9 people in a row. Like I didn't really kill 9 people. You know what I mean? Like what the fuck? Like I just made myself a god in my head. Like I was just this nutty cracked gamer. And it was just what I would react to it, and chat would go crazy, and I would like react to that. God, it's just so funny, like to me, and even being able to say that out loud. But it's one of those things where I guess now you're like, whatever, it is what it is. But to answer your question before, I'm trying to think. ADHD brain, I went off. Trying to remember the question you said.
Advice for top 1%.
Yeah, advice for top 1%. It's something that I struggle with on the daily. It is having a schedule for the thing that you're trying to like work towards. So for me, a prime example of this is I'm like, I want to post on YouTube, I want to post on TikTok, I'm post on Instagram, no matter what it is. I'm going to talk to my editor today. I'm going to do all that stuff. And I'll go 4 days without doing shit. Like I'll think about doing that. And then I tell myself every day, I'm like, you're going to talk to your editor. You're going to post on TikTok. You're going to post on YouTube. And 4 days will go by and I don't post. So for those that want to get into that 1%, I think I'm playing off the luxury of being where I am. But I'm also seeing the side effects of not doing what I preach. And that is, a lot of people I think are going around the same thing. Was my average viewership used to be much higher than it is now. And I will 100% take fault on that, being like, I didn't post every day on TikTok. I didn't post every day on YouTube. I'm not making the content that is being recommended to me to make by my community. So I think, again, it's just making a schedule and sticking to it, and that puts success towards whatever you're working towards.
Beautiful. Well, Noko, this has been awesome. This is just awesome interview all the way through. And I want to say, earlier when you said you thought it was dumb that you were like broadcasting that in the car, I actually did that too. I was just waiting until the end to say it, but I did that too. But I would do it because originally I was trying to be like a hockey broadcaster. I was trying to broadcast hockey games, and so I'd broadcast the cars going by me, and I'd be like, "All right, and now we've got the Ford Explorer cutting in front of," and I would just like kind of cut through and do all that. So that if you're thinking about doing that, bro, I did it too. I'm not to Noko's extent, but it is really helpful. And just not only that, but also if you're focused on making sure your voice is in a good spot, always good for that. Coming from the diaphragm. Something that like I've low key like it kind of happened as a joke, but it's a joke that keeps on going, and I think it's having a positive result. Is that one of the guys in my stream? He would like send in a bit and then put like zeros and like commas or like to like make it look like it was like 10,000 bits. And so like you'd see, obviously, it's like one bit, but I'd like react to it as if I'd be like, oh my gosh, we got the 10,000 biddies. And I'm just saying, like, the more that I've done that and like the more energy that I put into it, like
someone will drop the actual 10,000 bits.
Well, not the actual 10,000 bits. It's coming though, 100%. But just like the amount of like it raises the energy that I can put into it. And then like the sub, like before I was doing that versus now I'm doing that is like the revenue is like completely different.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's like I'm like getting energetic, giving that more, and then like the more you put out, the more you'll eventually get back.
Yeah, what we do is not easy to speak and have that energy for 8-9 hours a day. Just
definitely not.
Yeah,
crazy. 100% it's not. Well, once again, I just wanted to say it wasn't stupid. That's such a cool thing. I think anybody else out there should try it. Honestly, just do it if like the radio sucks. Just turn it down. See if you can broadcast some cars passing some other cars. Maybe a long trip.
All day.
Do stuff like that. But Noko, thanks for hopping on the show, man. It's been a long time coming. It's been a great interview with you, and we've got plenty more to talk about. So we can't wait to have you on here in the future, man.
This was a lot of fun, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, real quick last thing before we officially end it out is that I am going to disagree with you on the bad day, good day choice.
Oh, okay.
We knew it was coming.
Like, I do think to a certain like
I
obviously
will counter you on
this. You
this.
can have bad things happen, but I think it's so much more how you respond to it, and then the energy that you bring to the situation that comes after it.
You've never been in a car
will determine on whether or not it's a bad day or not. Which comes down to it being a choice. So I'd like to challenge you to try to like next time you have that like you wake up in the morning, stub your toe on the way to the bathroom, and you're like to be like, I'm not gonna make the choice to allow this to side rail my whole day.
Okay, fair.
Because it's hard. Well, no, because I like for the majority of my life, I would have agreed with you, and I would have been like, "Oh yeah, like that shit's gonna piss me off, and now I'm gonna get twisted." And then I'm just, but like the more that I've been more conscious of choosing how I want to handle situations, I've like gained power to like not respond in the way that I always have.
I think that's
so I'd like to challenge you.
I think you said this earlier. It's like a skill set. That's a skill set that I just have not mastered yet. That's for sure. I put all my points somewhere else.
Thankfully, you're old, but you still got time.
Hey, listen, you catching up, all right? You catching up. Don't play.
I'll join you in the club in a few.
I'll have your ticket ready.
That's great.
Beautiful.
All right, Noko. Well, once again, thanks, man, and we can't wait to have you back on.
Yeah, I can't wait to be back on. Appreciate you guys a lot.
All right, that was our friend Noko. Great interview with him, and hopefully we get him back on pretty soon because there was a lot more stuff we could have talked about. Lots of good stuff with Noko. Shout out to him for hopping on the pod. Boys, we have some it's one of those debates, man. You know how like at some workshops or like workplaces you'll see like 751 days without an incident, and then like, somebody will slip and fall and break their neck, and then it'll be like they got to write the big 0 days without an incident. We are currently at 0 days without a MNK/controller debate because Albralelie has decided that he is going to swap over to controller, and that debate once again reared its ugly head. I'm not even sure if it's ugly anymore because people love talking about it, it seems like. And then people also love to talk about how much they hate talking about it. So it just kind of it's just a vicious cycle. It's a tornado of destruction that constantly is hitting the Bluebird app. Boys, thoughts on Alb moving over to controller and what it does to this entire debate?
Well, I think it's not only Alb, it's also Lou on top of it. The other Lanimals teammate. So they're both making the swap over to roller. And I think it shows how strong controller can be. The fact that they'd even consider making this decision, I do think it's going to be interesting to see what the difference this makes and if it ends up being the right one. I've always thought that you want to have at least one MNK player on the team. And I think with as talented as both of them are, the fact that both of them are switching, I think could potentially be a throw, but they could also just turn out to just be just absolutely unreal. And it could go really well or it could not. But yeah, what do you think, Finn?
Multiple things, but one thing that, shout out to, I don't even know if this person even follows us or listens to any of our stuff, but this person made a great point. But okay, I'll get to that in a moment. I started that off incorrectly, pretty bad. I will say this, Waltzy, our featured guest that we have had on this show, shout out him, Apex South, a beast, an amazing roller player, tweeted out after Alb had announced it and said Alb's mechanics aren't his issue. If he finds controller more comfortable or more fun, I'd get that. But swapping isn't going to make up for the pre-existing issues. The stigma you and others push about needing to swap to keep up is bricked and a cop-out for lack of success. And I thought, dang, that's insane. I thought that, and he did say this isn't a shot at Alb, and I agree. Like, switching to controller doesn't inherently fix your problem unless you're just you literally just can't do damage, right? Like, it can also add more issues to your problem. But not Nocturnal, another feature guest, commented and said, "I'm glad I didn't have to say this. Controller ain't saving anyone that switches this late," which I thought was very interesting in that regard. But let me find the tweet that I thought was, oh dang, pretty amazing. This is by at Flukanon0. I probably butchered that. I've been saying for a while that controller isn't nearly as big of a problem in pro play as everyone makes it out to be. NA is the most controller dominant region, and 7 of the 11 LAN teams have at least 2 MNK players. With pros, the best team always wins the fight, which I thought was a very interesting topic.
Can I speak on behalf of my Lanimals brethren real quick?
I would. This is hitting Wyatt at home. Like, this is crazy. I'm so excited to hear Wyatt's take.
I do think in the case of Alb, I actually think this is a good play for him because, yes, what that tweet said was correct. Like, it doesn't fix all of the other things, but I think Alb had it in the. I don't know this for sure because obviously I haven't talked to him other than the one interview we had, but that was before he was even on Lanimals or like had even competed yet. It was like when I was watching them in their fights, it just seemed like he was always afraid to get in there. I think like the aim assist was in the back of his mind being like, I don't want to get in there too close. Otherwise I won't be able to like finish this off. I don't know if that's what he actually thought, but if it puts his mind at ease and he says, I'm playing controller now, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to fight, then I am 100% down for him to do that. I think that would be a massive change. I'm not as sure about Lou because I think you still need a mouse and keyboard player on your team. But I think for Alba, it would actually help out. Now, once again, I haven't seen him play controller, so I don't know how long it would take him to adjust. We obviously saw Imperial Hal adjust pretty well because he won the whole damn thing. So that is a possibility. I've never seen him do it, so I don't know if he has that same, ability. But I will give him this. The guy is dedicated, and he's dedicated to finding any way possible to make it back to the tippy top of that mountain. And I think for him, it works. And I also think this bodes well for my team of Lanimals sticking together because him and Luke kind of were looking at making this decision at like a relatively close time. So maybe
but Lou too, Wyatt.
I don't like I said, I don't necessarily agree with the Lou part. I wish I would like to have Lou stay M and K. But imagine from Lou's perspective, if you could just set these two sickos, Naughty and Alb, they could just go in and just fight whenever. I always felt like Alb was like a little bit, I don't even want to say afraid was the right word, but he was hesitant and like trying to be protective of his life. He was trying to play his life correctly. And sometimes it would get in the way of winning like a fight. And then Naughty usually would end up like finishing it off, or he was the last one alive or whatever. I think for Alb it works. And I'm happy to see that, but I would like Lou to stay. But who knows? Maybe they all roll with the controller.
Do you actually think they're by LCQ? Okay, I bet by LCQ they're actually gonna all 3 be roller, but I think after LCQ, if they don't qual, which would be crazy, I don't know. Is this enough time? I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you think one of them switch back? Like, do you think they'll come to a realization after they go through some scrims, or do you think they're just gonna push through it? I do think if they push through it, they'll eventually be okay. But it's like, in that lull period, is one of them just going to be fed up and then just go back to MK?
Yeah, I think one of them will. I'm not sure which one. I would assume Lou, but I think what people look at with Albralelie is like he's already so mechanically gifted. It's like, why would you give that up to go into something where you have to relearn a lot of these mechanics or at least nail down some of these mechanics in such a short amount of time? I think he's 100% capable of doing that. And if it puts his mind at ease mid fight, I would much rather have him in there with Naughty, up front and battling and stuff like that. So we'll see. We'll see if I'm wrong on that. But I actually think it works
Yo,
for Al.
plot twist, Wyatt. Plot twist, Wyatt.
What?
Naughty goes to MK.
That would be so funny. That would be so funny.
Imagine.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. But yeah, that's just my opinion on it. I think it actually works in this case. As far as the actual debate goes, a lot of people are saying, like, does this just prove that controllers getting too good in this game? And other people are saying, for a game that's supposed to be about movement, why are so many people moving to controller? I do think it's important to point out that this is mostly just NA. I think if you look at a lot of the other regions, it's dominated by mouse and keyboard. So I think it has to do with the fighting style of NA. I think it has to do with the personalities NA. And just the success that we've seen certain controller players have. But like Finn said, 7 of the top 10, would you say 7 of the top 10, top 11 were to M&K?
To MK.
That just, yeah, I mean, results are results, like stats are stats,
I mean, and then what you got? Noko mentioned it, but Alliance is two MK, one roller. Like, there's not a lot of successful. I'm trying to think. Is there any successful 3 all roller team?
Not right now, I don't think.
I might be faded right now, but I cannot think of one that is all 3 roller, right? Like, help me out. Do you know of any pro team and Wyatt? Sorry, that wasn't specifically at you, Wyatt. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
That was. I don't think there is. Last time we had like a dominant all roller team was
G2,
right? That's the only team that I can think of that was all roller, and it really worked out in that regard.
They're the only team that I can really think of. Gosh, is there anybody? J-Links.
Oh,
they made
yep.
Last Land.
Yep.
And they did fairly well. I don't know if they qualified for the last day. I don't think they did.
No, I think they no. Well, no. I think they lost in the right before the finals, the one right before it. They didn't qualify. I think they got 11th on that, and so they didn't quite qualify. They were the last team that didn't qualify for that.
Heard.
But okay, so one team out of how many teams were at that lane? 40.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, I don't know, man. M&K is still so viable. I think they're just putting all their eggs in one basket. But anyway, something to keep up. I'm excited to hear Wyatt's take as this continues to grow.
I know.
That's really
watch
that's really
Al just be so bad. I'm just like,
it is a good storyline to keep an eye on. It's something that to get people talking, and so
yeah,
Wyatt
keeps my Lanimals dreams alive.
I need Wyatt's opinion. Do you think any of them end up being better than Naughty?
No. Naughty's number 1 NA, number 1 world, number 1 Earth, number 1 universe, number 1 planet, number 1 galaxy. So
Are you the biggest Naughty fan in the world?
You know what's crazy, dude, is like I remember watching when he was on Cloud9 and they were on match point and they couldn't like win, but they got second place. And I remember which event was that?
That was 2021 Worlds.
Yeah.
Or it would have been NA regional finals, but
yeah,
it would have been World.
I just remember watching that and be like, dude, this Naughty guy sounds like an asshole. And then we had him on the pod, and I was like, dude, this guy is awesome. And then I got to watch him in in this recent ALGS, and I was just like, dude, when he said, I'm fucking clipping shit mid-match while he was like frying like 6 different teams on Storm Point, I was like, all right, this is my guy. This is my guy. Yeah, so love Naughty. I love Naughty to death. I mean, he is really, really good. I mean, he's just insanely good. I also like, you know what I also like about Naughty? He never gets like super overtly negative in his like comms after games or whatever. He's always just trying to come to a solution. He's always just trying to keep the team calm. It's like you can tell this guy he just wants to win, and whatever, he just wants to keep the team on the same page, which didn't always happen with the other two this recent split. But he was always trying to keep it like good.
The crazy thing is, I don't know if you're more of a fan of Drew or Naughty. Like, I don't know.
It's tough. It's tough. I don't know, man.
I'm not gonna put you in that. I'm not gonna put you in that spot just
don't
yet.
put me.
Not
Don't
yet.
put me there.
I will though eventually, but
don't
not right
put
now.
Me there.
But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So another debate. We'll probably have this debate 6-7 more times. Like I said, it just keeps coming back. We'll probably have it again. But ladies and gents, let's throw it on down into the heart to heart. And then we have a really cool announcement at the end of the show. So you're going to want to stick at the end so you can hear a little giveaway that we're going to do. Let's hit a quick let's just go straight into heart to heart music. Let's go. All right, ladies and gents, it is heart to heart time. Does anybody want to go first?
I can rip it first.
Let's go.
Because I basically touched on that when you asked me how my week was, but like the more conscious I am of choosing how I'm going to approach and handle situations that come up, and the more mindful I am that I can choose to be happy regardless of what's going on, just everything is just nicer. Everything's better. Like the more that I live in like gratitude, regardless of like the annoying or unfortunate or like bullshitty situations I find myself in, the more I can do that, the less they happen and the better life I live as a result of it. And so I just want people to realize that you have a choice on how you react to things, even if you don't think you do. And the more that you can work towards choosing joy, the better your life will be, not only like internally, but externally as well. And I'm excited to continue down this journey because eventually it's going to be super dope, because eventually it's going to get to the point where I don't even have to try. I don't even have to think about it. And it'll just be my default. It's just be happy all the time, no matter what, because I can. I just haven't done that. And I just need to get that programming locked in. And once I do that, it'll be nice.
I wish you the best in that regard.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do. White, you okay with me going next?
Yeah.
And then you end it out? Okay.
Yeah.
Mine's really just, hey, I forgot how freaking hard it is to get pred and to grind Apex at a high level. And I don't really necessarily miss it, but I will say this. I got the itch to like get pred, to at least get the picture, and it felt very similar to whenever I was trying to get that number 1 Wraith, and that itch was back, bro. And I guess my heart to heart, if people could find their itch where they're like, oh, I love this. This is definitely worth grinding for. That could be anything, but I'd say I would encourage you to try and find your itch, not your niche, but your itch. But that's my heart to heart, is like, dang, I'm back, or at least it feels back, and I'm grinding. Wyatt, what is your heart to heart this week?
Okay, so I don't have like an actual like profound thing that I've been working on recently. So I'm just gonna share something that I'm gotten addicted to. And it's one of those things. I find a hobby, and then, or like something that I get really passionate about, and then I just get addicted to reading, learning, doing everything in and around it. I've already talked about soccer once this episode, but been watching a ton of soccer. I found a website called Football Kit Archive, and they don't call them jerseys, they call them kits. So I have gone through every single team in the English Premier League, looking at every kit from the 1800s, and I have compiled a list of my favorite ones. And then today I ordered like a really good one. This one's Nottingham Forest, who's currently in the English Premier League. They might get relegated. They have a big game coming up, but they have a sick logo. Can I show you guys this logo real quick?
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see it.
For soccer,
Yeah,
this is
I'm
actually a
trying to
sick
see it.
logo. Look at that. Just
Yeah,
fire,
that is
right?
That actually, do they have red jerseys?
It's red. Yeah, you can't really tell from my phone. It looks orange on here, but it's red. Oh, look. Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, I see
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I saw it from the side.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so Nottingham Forest. I love their logo. I love their colors, and I love their history. I watched one Nottingham Forest game at work. Don't tell anybody. I watched it on my phone. I hid it in the little drawer, and I was just watching it, and I fell in love with their crowd because it's a smaller club, but they were going bananas in this stadium, just like at the top of their lungs, singing, doing all that stuff. So I was like, dude, listen, I respect Nottingham Forest. I found a kit today, and because like soccer kits, I guess they change every fucking year, and around this time the new kits are leaking, so all the prices are going down. And Nottingham Forest, a smaller club, is doing something all the other clubs should do. They are having like a historical jersey collection where they're releasing a bunch of them, and they're releasing them without like the ads on the front. Some of them don't have the ads on the front, which is always the biggest thing that I think bothers me about soccer kits. They have a giant ad on the front. Some of them are stupid too. Like some of them will be like Doritos or like something dumb, and you don't even want to look at it. But I found one, Nottingham Forest, from some sort of European Cup final in Munich, 1979. Copped this bad boy. Thing looks so clean, and I can't wait till this comes in. I have two now. I have my Manchester City one that I love. I've worn on the show. I think I wore it last week.
Dude,
And then,
okay, hold on. I was gonna say, they have the coolest kits because of their colors.
yes, right? They added the red, which they normally have never added before. It's a long time ago they had it, but they added this red. It's sitting right here in my thing. They have a huge game tomorrow. But yeah, adding the red and then having like the little collars, so sick. So that's
Dude,
one of my hobbies.
they're so proper. By the way,
Yes.
having collars, like,
Dude, I know.
come on.
Dude, there's some sick ones coming out next season that like, dude, I could go all into this. Like I hate Liverpool, but theirs are going to be so clean next year. And
They
so
have similar colors, don't they?
they're similar to Nottingham Forest. They're like a like maroon red, and then they're going to have like the white collar and end sleeves. Looks so sick. So sick. I really
No,
wish
you can't. If you don't like them, so you're not supposed to
I
say
know
they
I
have cool
can't say it.
jerseys.
I can't say it, but I really do wish soccer could find a way to like buy more into like the logos and less of the ads. Like you make enough money already. They'll never listen, but it doesn't matter. So that's one of my obsessions. And then I wanted to finish out my entire heart to heart with something that I found on TikTok that was wild. And I just want to read this stat to you. It's actually kind of sad and horrific, but I'm gonna read it to you. It says in 18, by the way, it was a meme. The first slide of this TikTok said, "What is the biggest I'm him performance ever?" And this goes against that. It says in 1847, Robert Linston performed an amputation in 25 seconds, operating so quickly that he accidentally amputated his assistant's fingers as well. Both patient and assistant later died of sepsis, and a spectator reportedly died of shock, resulting in the only known surgical procedure with a 300% mortality rate. I don't know what this surgeon was doing to work so fast to cut off his assistant's fingers. You need to chill out, dude. Like, relax. Relax. And then there's a picture of the guy, and it's just a horrific scene. It was just not great. But I just wanted to share that. There's no like if you're ever having a bad day and you think it can't get any worse and everything is not going your way, at least you're not Robert Linston, who killed 3 people while trying to save 1 life. It's just it couldn't get worse than that. I don't know if he continued to perform medical procedures after that. I might do some more research into it. But that entire horrific stat was to say it could always be worse, okay? It could always be worse, but you'll never get that bad. All right? You can always climb up from there. All right, well, that should just about do it for the heart to heart. Boys and girls, let's get into this announcement here. We have an awesome announcement. Respawn reached out to the boys. They wanted us to give away some codes for some bundles for the brand new launch of season 17. We've got 3 bundles, 3 codes. We've got a caustic, we've got a ballistic, and we have an octane. All you got to do to be entered in to win one of those 3 codes is follow on Twitter, which most of you, I would assume, already are. And then below that tweet, we're going to put out the tweet saying, the video saying this is the contest. All you got to do below, reply your favorite interview from all of our 40 episodes and why it was your favorite interview. Just go through, put that in there, and you are automatically entered in to see who can win one of these 3 bundles. Super simple, super easy to do, cost you nothing, and there's an opportunity for you to get one of those really cool bundles from Respawn and Apex Legends for Season 17. So shout out Respawn, shout out Apex for giving us that opportunity. We really appreciate it, and we can't wait to see who wins for the upcoming giveaway. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, it's awesome to be able to get to a point where we can give away stuff like this. Thank you guys so much. So right now, make sure you're following on Twitter. Go down. Maybe re-listen to some of those interviews. If you don't remember which one it was, find which one's your favorite and tweet us who it was and why.
Maybe it was Noko.
Maybe it was Noko. Maybe it was Noko right now, because that one was great. That one was great. Got to be top 5, right? So thank you guys. It's been awesome to be recognized by the game we talk about so much. It really is so cool. So other than that, ladies and gents, that should just about do it for this week's episode of the Apex the podcast. We have a lot more questions and a lot more downtime before we got ALGS. So send in those questions. If we didn't read your question today, there's plenty of time for your question to be asked. Go ahead, send those into the Competitive Apex Reddit, or tweet us anything, as well as in the Discord. We have like a questions section that you can send those into. We're going to be compiling a bunch of questions for the shows upcoming here in the future, and we'll be able to answer all of those, or at least a lot of those, in the upcoming weeks. Okay, ladies and gents, let's send you on the rest of your week. We'll catch you guys next time for another episode of the Apex the podcast. See ya.